Deus, o salutaris nostre, Dominex Deus, Irinex Deus, Irinex Deus, Deus noster, Nicalaate, Dominex Este, Rapa Anderi, Arcangeli, Ave Pateti, Lada Monteurem, Dominum Mio, Maestatis,
Hey, how's everybody doing? I've been having a fantastic day. It is 7 p.m. and I'm on time, and it's Monday, November 18th. We're waiting for Hassan. I might answer a few questions in the chat. So if you're watching the replay, and why is this right in front of my face? If you're watching the replay and you don't feel like listen to all the chit chat, you can skip a few minutes. Hassan, he's Arab, so that makes him late. Sorry, all of you Arabs out there, that you have Hassan for your representation. But anyways, we're going to be reviewing the debate between Dr. Andani and Sam Shamoun on the Islamic dilemma. I don't really know much about this. This is not an area in which I study at all, so I'll be able to, poke Hassan a lot to, get him to react to this, get him to explain everything properly so I can understand it, so you can understand it. So I think this is going to be really helpful. I think this is going to be really good. But I'm going to message Hassan and I'm going to harass him. Okay. I messaged him and I harassed him. I really want Hassan's take on this. Yeah, that's what everybody wants. How are you doing, Gideon? How are you doing? We got some mutual hate mail actually in an email. Somebody emailed and he called you what do you call it? He called you Gideon. He called you Gideon Lazar. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everybody send your super chats for telling me that I was going to be late and I'm not late. You guys need to pay your way. Okay, so Hassan says he has a tech issue. So this is Boomer Hassan moment. Okay. That's where send the Boomer Hassan moment. Yeah, I was early this time. So this is double payment since I'm early. Okay. Muslims coping under my replies about my conversion. Now it's over for Islam cells. Yeah, Stefan, he is our excellent friend here who has very courageously told his parents about his conversion to Catholicism. And what's crazy is that here's Hassan. How's it going, Hassan?
It's good.
Bro is laying in his bed right now. Okay, Sam lost this debate, in my opinion. Okay,
I'm awake now.
Bro, am I getting reviewed? Yeah, I guess you are getting reviewed. I guess you are. Hassan said that he'll be very nice. That's what he's promised. He promised to be on.
I like Dr. Khalil. I think he's he's probably one of the only serious Muslim interlocutors for Christians on the whole of YouTube.
Everybody wants you to turn your camera back on. But anyway, camera on for $100 dono. Come on, bro. Come on, Hassan. Please. Can we coerce him under latent Morisco anti-Morisco laws? Can we persecute Hassan? Oh man, this guy's muted now. It's either camera. It's bro. You don't have the money. Turn your camera off, Hassan. Get this guy out of here.
What the?
Yeah, every time Hassan gets on stream, he sounds like he's ended his rope. But what I was saying before we get into all of this, reviewing stuff for Islam, is that actually Hassan and I, we are both volunteers. We're volunteers. We volunteer our little free time towards this endeavor, um, for the conversion of, well, most of our work is done with catechumens who are Morisco Catholics. You don't know Morisco Catholics.
And also heretics and schismatics, or people who want to join heretical and schismatic sects, more so than like Muslims themselves, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay. I
Mhm.
guess it would be what's that? What's that other word? Not for Morisco, but it's like a special word for Arab. Arab. They're all Arab. Okay. They're all Arabish individuals. Some of them Morisco. Some of them from other backgrounds. But we work with them. We catechize
Mhm.
them. We and then because of the difficulty that they have in receiving the sacraments, because often local priests in local Christian communities are not too thrilled to have converts joining them. We work on getting them the sacraments, and we're actually having our first. I can't obviously we can't be too specific about location, but we're having our first in person preparatory period, and they will be receiving the sacraments from a priest who we are allied with in this endeavor. This will be in North Africa next month. So if anybody's interested in donating towards this, the limit, if it reaches the limit and you still want to donate, you should still donate. But we're a few $100s away from the limit. But yeah, link's going to be in the description below and here. So if you actually want to, get off of the internet LARPing stuff and get into helping and supporting, helping concrete individuals who are on the ground, these people who are risking a lot in order to receive the sacraments, and a lot of us are traveling a very far way in order to help them, where the local churches do not help them. Then you can donate towards that endeavor. But anyways, how are you doing tonight, Hassan?
I'm doing okay. I haven't slept since about 24 hours ago, but I should be okay.
Okay, well, my wife hasn't slept in 48 hours. That makes it better.
Yeah, but she has a little kid. She's used to it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Bro's real. Wait, so Astro is entering the church in Africa? No, he's not in North Africa. He's in a completely other part of the world, and he's not even an Arab. Um, so yeah, I don't want to talk details about Astro entering the church. Um, for very good reasons. But anyways, not very good reasons as in like Astro did anything bad or anything like that, but for very good reasons as in like security reasons. Okay, so this was on capturing Christianity. We're gonna do kind of like I always do, which is basically review the opening statements, because basically once you get past the opening statements, a lot of it is us commenting on people's commentary of people's positions, and it's not too helpful. Continue to watch and to comment past that. Uh, so yeah, we're going to be very fair. I hope that I'm always fair when I do debate reviews. If I think somebody on my side made a bad argument, I'll say that. If I think somebody on the other side made a good argument, I'll say that. But I personally, as I was mentioning earlier, I don't have a lot of experience with this argument. So Hassan's going to have to carry here, and you're going to have to explain everything to me, Hassan. So what's the general dilemma, Islamic dilemma problem?
I don't even know what that is. I was kind of hoping to find out.
Bro, what?
What the hell is the Islamic dilemma? What?
Oh, am I gonna have to explain? It's the fact that in the Quran, I'm sure you know the location or whatever, and you'll say it in like all your fancy words when it talks about the Torah and the Gospel being witnesses to Islam.
That's one of many Islamic dilemmas. But yeah, that is a problem. Uh, because then you obviously have to make an exegetical argument from books that are not studied in your tradition and that you have no leg to stand on in interpreting. So then basically all that could happen over the centuries to go. But you see, I'm not actually held to interpret anything because you changed the book anyway. It's like, okay. So why even make this as a proof claim then? What's the point?
Okay, I thought you knew exactly what this was.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna, that's the thing. So there's multiple issues. Obviously, the Injil, like they say, the gospel, like the Injil is supposed to be like a source of verification of the Quran, and it even like claims that there are certain metaphors that it takes from the Injil. But like, what is the Injil? There isn't much agreement on this in the Islamic tradition. Some people are going to say it refers to something that Christ himself was inspired with, and it was never written down. Some say it was a book that he actually revealed and is lost. Some people claim that it is the same thing as the, Gospels of the four evangelists. And some of them say even weirder things, like some of them seem to be under the impression that the Gospels that we have today were written by Christ. Those are like some early confused people. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that was actually based of them.
yeah, so well, yeah, I guess. So basically, there's a lot of like different opinions. There's a lot of different authors, and there's like a lot of cluelessness in some authors. But generally speaking, like the there's a lot of back and forth right now in scholarship, but generally speaking, it's agreed upon that the claims that the Bible was like corrupted in Muhammad's time, generally speaking, at a widespread level, and that this is what the Quran is talking about. Generally, these are not accepted. Generally, the idea of corruption is something that's intimated about what a specific group of people did as a debate tactic against Muhammad. Not that, not that it was like the texts at the time were corrupted. And there's various other issues as well. Like for example, the text says that Zechariah, the father of John the Baptist, had access to the scriptures, like what he had with him with the real scriptures. But we know that Jews at that time were using the Septuagint. So I don't know, the Quran just doesn't do very well with historical issues, generally speaking.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you for that.
But then remember, like at the same time, like you've made this point before, right? Well, historical arguments are probabilistic. They're not like demonstrative. They're not the best arguments you can make, right?
Yeah.
They're useful, but
bro, what does your wife do? No, we're getting audited by the IRS. So we have to collect like a gorillion documents because I have like 10 streams of income. It's a nightmare. Booked a tutoring session for Wednesday, but I'm a total normie Catholic. Am I wasting your time to start from zero but still seek tutoring from you? No, of course not. I mean, I work with a lot of people some people I work with, actually, most people I work with are kind of in your situation. They're mostly normie Catholics who kind of want to know more and go through the book with my help.
I want to figure out how to get started, Most people just want to know how to get started.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to put up the... Yeah, commits tax evasion. I didn't commit tax evasion. Okay, I report all of my income to the IRS. I report every single last dollar, and I've been audited 2 times already.
Only a legitimate state can levy taxes properly.
This is a 60-second video on it. Okay, so I'm telling myself to watch this video. Okay, let's watch this. Let's watch this overview for those of us who are ignorant of the issue. Oh, frick. Dang it. Video is not available anymore. What the heck? Okay. Okay, this is such an L. Hey, at least you guys know that Hassan is brutally honest. Bro's like, I don't know what this is. Okay, let me see it. Okay, Islam debunked in less than 60 seconds. Chris at Speaker's Corner. Oh my goodness. Hassan, you love Speaker's Corner, right?
One of these. Candle.
Hassan loves Speaker's Corner. He wants to go there one day.
One of my master's projects was on this place, and everything I learned about it proved to me that they should just close it down and never have it again.
Is this
It's like
true?
a Discord server in real life.
my face when I meet him at the IRL Discord server. Is it a sin to abuse the welfare system? Probably, because that would require you lying. Every M super chat is shown directly to the IRS. So true. Okay, let's play this.
Refuting Islam in less than 60 seconds. Let's go. Okay,
Let's go.
so the Quran is a clear book. These verses clearly say that the Torah and the Injil are authoritative, inspired, and preserved to the Christians and Jews.
Authoritative.
If the Quran preserves
What do you say, Hassan?
He said authoritative.
Authoritative. Yeah, I don't know if this guy is just not a native English speaker or he's just bad at English.
the previous scriptures, then we should find that they are completely in agreement. So here's where Islam refutes itself. Islam makes claims about Jesus, for example, that he never died in the flesh, he was never crucified, in Surah 4, Ayah 157, that contradicts almost everything that you can find in the Gospels. What this means is that the Quran does not actually agree with the previous scriptures, even though it claims to preserve them.
So,
If the Injil and the Torah were corrupted, then where were the original followers of Jesus, who supposedly were rightly guided and will be forever above the disbelievers until
Oh, this is the crap, who do they, which one of the Ebionites? Don't they claim the Ebionites?
yeah, they claim it's the Ebionites, yeah, and the Nazarenes.
Yeah.
the day of resurrection? Can you point me to a single follower of Jesus who correctly understood the Injil before it was corrupted? You can't, because there is none.
Okay, so that's the argument in 60 seconds. We're going to be watching this whole big debate about this.
Shamoun actually brings up a good point about this on one of his web articles, where he brings up, and this can be supplemented by more research by anybody who actually cares about these things. He brings up the argument that in the Quran it says that the people of the Jews, Bani Israel, the descendants of Jacob, among them, at some point, the majority of them, or rather it says that a group of them became Zahar, which means, really it means visible, or like obvious. It means something like clear or opaque, or something like this, like visibly predominant, right? So a group becomes visibly predominant or clear, and that God gave them this victory, and that this faction are those who believed in the apostles, the Hawariyun. So at what point in history could you say that at least the Jews of the Near East became majority followers of the apostles, or at least self-identified followers of the apostles? By that time, they're like very obviously Catholic, or in the so-called proto-Orthodox camp, and believed in a bunch of things clearly mutually exclusive of Muslim belief. Then if you can look at different interpretations of this word Zahir in the books, in commentating on this verse in different tafasir, or like exegeses, and they don't make any sense. They don't work at all. They have to argue, for example, Zahir means that they were like the obvious debate winners against everybody else, and to the point where everybody else decided that they were so salty about it that they didn't record their existence. What?
It's the original Debate Me Bros. Hassan is making me want to go to Speaker's Corner. Okay, Kayak. Kayak would absolutely murder it at Speaker's Corner. Making flashcards off your logic course. Thank you. You're welcome. The disciples prevailing over Jesus' enemies, Sadducees / Pharisees, doesn't mean the Catholic Church prevailing. Do you know what this means, Hassan?
Well, what does prevailing mean? If we mean that they become visibly predominant, like the followers of the disciples becoming visibly predominant, like what does that mean? You would have to make one of the like various arguments that proto-Orthodoxy is just like one small faction, and that actually the Jews became majority Christian at an early time when it was not clear who the predominant group were. But I think it's kind of absurd to claim that like the Ebionites or something were the majority of Jews, of like ethnic Jews at any time in history. That's just very strange claim.
Okay.
Well, what's the argument?
Let's get past IU and Ade.
Welcome to Capturing Christianity. Cameron Bertuzzi here, and today I've got a debate or a dialogue, however you want to look
Okay, debate dialogue.
at it, on the Islamic dilemma between Dr. Khalil
I'm putting it
Andani,
at
who is
1.25,
a Muslim
everyone.
scholar, and Sam Shamoun. Let me go ahead and pull him in here. And if you don't know who these two people are, I'm just going to assume that you actually do. We have a lot of people that were waiting to watch this live.
Why did the apostles continue Torah? Are you talking about them continuing? Well, actually, we know exactly why. If you read St. Paul's epistle to the Galatians.
Are you talking about why they continue to keep kosher laws and why Cornelius was circumcised and stuff? Because, I mean, that's like very clearly shown by our exegetes over a very long period of time. If you're talking about like what like modern scholars say and the opinions among modern scholars, what's the argument? Because we don't really care what a plurality of scholars say. If we did, we wouldn't be Roman Catholic in the first place.
Are you talking about the apostles' work? Yeah, he's talking about the apostles worshiping at the temple.
Well, maybe.
I mean, there's nothing against, per se, against divine law for the apostles to worship at the temple. I don't know why there would be.
These things had pedagogical value. It's not like they were like immediately deadly or that they believed that sacrificing in the temple or propitiatory sacrifice was somehow like necessary for salvation.
If I can't be loved or cherished, at least I can be the first place donor in the chat. Somebody, I was gonna say somebody beat him. Okay. Anyways, let's get into it. I can't talk about it better here in chat, but next time I come on, I'll present the argument. Okay, that sounds good.
If you'd like to learn about my guests, go check out the description of the video. I don't want to waste too much of your time. I know everyone is here to watch this discussion, watch this debate. So let's get into it. What we have planned for you is a 20-minute presentation from Khalil, where he's going to be presenting on the Islamic dilemma from his perspective. And then after that, it's just going to be open dialogue between the two of these guys. I'm going to do my best to stay out of this conversation as much as
Oh, wait. So there's a presentation from Dr. Andani, and then there's an open dialogue? Okay.
possible so that they can have a really great dialogue. And we will, toward the end of the show, we will be taking some questions from you guys. If you have, if you want to send in a question, the best way to do it probably with the stream, the amount of people that we have watching, is probably going to be through Super Chat. So if you'd like to send in a question, probably the best way to do that again is through Super Chat. But now let's go ahead and turn it over to Khalil for his roughly 20-minute presentation.
It takes 5 seconds to skip the video and also 5 seconds to save a life.
5 seconds.
Let me tell you how.
Skip the ad. The ads are so
annoying. All right. Thank you so much to Cameron for hosting this entire event. Thank you, Sam, for making the time to have a chat with me. So we're going to be talking about the Islamic dilemma, and this is really going to be a dialogue, but I've been given the benefit of making an opening statement just to lay out my thoughts on the Islamic dilemma, and then I think we're just going to go into a friendly dialogue. So I'm really not approaching this as a debate per se, more so an exchange of views. So firstly, what is the Islamic dilemma? This is an argument that many Christians recently have been using, and I think it goes back to maybe the 19th century from what I can tell. So the argument is something like this. The Quran confirms the divine inspiration.
Why are there so many super chats in the stream, guys? I'm not complaining, but I'm just wondering why. Why are you guys trying to beat each other out? I mean, I'm not complaining, but I'm just wondering why. But thank you, Anthony. Thank you, ND Irish. And Mr. ND Irish, when I was at Notre Dame, I quite like Notre Dame. I had, what was O'Rourke's? O'Rourke's was the bar right next to campus. And I had Irish car bombs and Guinness. It was a very good time. I loved the campus. The people there were great. It really is unfortunate that Notre Dame isn't faithful to her Catholic heritage anymore. Wagner, donate the money to the GoFundMe. Okay. Ad for Gaza Kids. Wagner hated. Mossad confirmed. Okay, so you're winning at 102. Okay. I'm donating all the money to BLM, by the way. Okay, let's continue.
Authority and preservation of the Christian New Testament. However, second premise, the Quran contradicts certain teachings in the New Testament. But if the Quran is true, the New Testament must be true. And since the New
by Angel, Hassan, can you help me out on this? He keeps saying New Testament. Is that just talking about the Gospels, or like how are these interpreted?
I'm sure he'll explain. There's a lot of different opinions. I don't know what the Ismaili opinions on this are, so I'll let him explain what he thinks Injil means.
Okay. Why is Wagner wearing a ring? For some reason, I forgot to wear my ring for like 2 years straight, and I decided to start wearing my ring again. Okay.
New Testament teaches the Trinity, the divinity of Jesus, and other things which contradict the Quran. It therefore follows that the Quran is false. And this is called the Islamic dilemma because this is an argument that Christians present to Muslims. So it's meant to be an internal critique of the Muslim belief that the Quran is a true revelation from God. So at a broad level, there are actually several ways for Muslims to respond to the dilemma. So here's the first response to the Islamic dilemma as it's stated here. The first response would actually negate and disprove and disagree with premise one, that the Quran confirms the New Testament. The first response would instead say, based on the Quran itself, that the Quran only confirms the gospel, singular, revealed to and taught by Jesus, and that this Jesus gospel may be partially embedded within the 4 Christian gospels, but it is not coextensive with them. This view seems to be the early and historical majority of Muslims, at least by the 15th, 16th century. The majority of Muslims held to a view like this. And this is my preferred view. So this is the view that I'll be speaking about in detail.
Why do you say yeah?
It is the historical view because at a certain point in history, they realized that the older views weren't tenable anymore because they make Islam apologetically like nuts.
Yeah. So we have a category of this, which is Dominical oral teaching. So we kind of like Dominical oral tradition. So we actually do kind of have a category of this.
St. Irenaeus refers to it. It's like a sayings tradition.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's what he was saying. He was saying that this is an old view. Hassan was.
Yeah, I'm saying that basically like the very old views, which are not this view, although this view does exist quite early on. So a lot of the very old views are like not compatible with. Well, you can't make any good apologetics for them. You have to put your head in the sand. This view is the only one that lets you say, I don't need to contend with the texts of the Gospels that Christians use.
Dr. Andani said the other view doesn't predate this view.
Yeah, no, they're all like, but this is the one that won out because it works apologetically. But also, I'm not sure that this view can be justified Quranically though, completely. Not on the basis of, yes, it's something revealed to Christ, but I don't think the idea that these are not like texts that people had in their possession later on in history is true either. Like even in the time of Muhammad.
Okay, let's continue.
Opening. However, I want to acknowledge that this is not the only response to the Islamic dilemma. There is a second response that can be offered, which is a little bit different from this. So the second response would actually say that the Quran confirms the divine inspiration and authority and preservation of the 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. This view again says that the Quran teaches that the gospel is the message revealed to and taught by Jesus, but this view would concede that Jesus's teachings can be found, generally preserved, with a few exceptions, within the 4 Christian gospels that you have in the New Testament. So this view would affirm premise 1 in...
He keeps saying within, Dr. Andani. Do you mean that like there's corrupted parts of this, that there's certain extraneous additions to it? I think that's what he means by this.
This particular way. And it would also then say that the Quran does not really contradict the teachings of Jesus in the 4 Gospels when those teachings are interpreted correctly. So it could admit that the 4 Gospels are true. But again, this view would say that the 4 Gospels do not teach the Trinity, the divinity of Jesus, and other such things. And therefore, there's no dilemma. This view is also an early view, and it seems to be the minority of Muslims that held this view. I'll put some examples. I've put some names on the slide. For people who are interested in this view, I would recommend people see the PhD dissertation of Ali Atai, which is available, or the writings of Reza Shah Kazemi, or the work of the 15th century Sunni al-Biqai, among others. Although I don't prefer this view, I actually think this is a defensible position, especially for Sufi Sunni Muslims and for esoterically inclined Shia Muslims like myself. The third response would actually be more broader, and this would say that the Quran does confirm the New Testament. Again, the Quran only teaches that the gospel revealed to and taught by Jesus is the actual revelation, but this response would concede that Jesus' gospel is preserved within the New Testament, more broadly speaking. And what this view would say is that the Quran does not really contradict the New Testament when the New Testament is interpreted correctly, in which case the New Testament does not teach the Trinity, divinity of Christ, and other such things. Sayyid Ahmed Khan is a modernist Muslim who held this view. And, we have a lot of Unitarian biblical exegesis today that would also help Muslims respond in this way. So what is my view then for the Islamic dilemma? As I said, I prefer the response number one, which I'm going to outline now. So firstly, what is the Quranic view of revelation? And the term that the Quran used to describe revelation is the word kitab. And the Quran actually speaks of one kitab that every prophet has brought. And you can notice kitab is in the singular in all these verses. So Jesus brought kitab, Moses brought kitab, the prophets in general brought kitab. What does kitab mean? A lot of people translate kitab as book, and they imagine that when the Quran says kitab, it's talking about a physical scroll or a text, a big physical book with pages. But based on academic critical scholarship in Quranic studies done by numerous scholars, including myself and including Professor Daniel Madigan, who's also a Catholic priest, the Quran does not present the kitab as a closed and definable corpus. In other words, the Quran doesn't present kitab as a physical book. Kitab is a Quranic description of the content of revelation, not the form of revelation. And the content of revelation is called kitab, which literally means writing, not because it's material writing, but because kitab is prescriptive.
What were you saying, Hassan?
That's a good point.
And even the English word prescriptive conveys that sense. Another translation of kitab would be divine decree. So a revelation from God is called kitab, not because of its physical form, but because of its function as prescribing divine commands on its recipients. That's why every revelation, regardless of its physical form in the Quran, has been called kitab. And also based on Quranic studies research, which you can also find in my dissertation, as well as many other scholars before me, the Quran has two levels of kitab. There is a universal transcendent kitab, which I call the divine writing. This is in heaven, basically. It's not on earth, it's unseen. And every particular revelation, every revealed kitab is a specified manifestation of the transcendent kitab. And it's based on this unity of the kitab at the transcendent level that the Torah is called kitab and the Quran is called kitab. And even when the Quran is not a written document, because it doesn't become that until later, even the oral Quran is called a kitab. And basically any prophetic teaching can be called kitab, even though it's not necessarily a physical book. Now let's go to what the gospel is. What is the Quranic view of the gospel in light of what we know about kitab? So in the previous slide, you saw here, the second verse, God tells all the prophets, I give you kitab and hikmah. That means I give you kitab and wisdom. Now let's talk about Jesus. So according to the Quran, as I understand it, based on my expertise, the Quranic Jesus brought two revelatory products. He brought the Torah and the gospel, singular. And those are also described as kitab and wisdom. And there are two verses that actually lay this out. God will teach him the kitab and the hikmah, the Torah and the Injil, the gospel. So the gospel in the Quran is defined consistently as the revelatory content that God gives to Jesus and which Jesus preaches. Notice the Quran never defines the gospel singular as biographies about Jesus, and it definitely does not refer to the gospel as the 27-book New Testament. There's just no Quranic basis to affirm the 27-book New Testament. So here we have a verse that says very clearly, we gave him, Jesus, the gospel, and Jesus also confirms the Torah because God also taught Jesus the Torah. So God gave Jesus the Torah and the gospel, not as physical books, but as divine inspiration, and Jesus orally taught the Torah and the gospel.
My question here would be,
so what is
why does the Quran elect to call this revelatory content an Arabization of Evangelion? What's the point of that? Like, based on what precedent for the term Evangelion would this be founded on?
I guess that's a good point. Yeah, because obviously it wasn't just making a word out of thin air with no previous antecedent referent in the tradition. Oh, he says keep going. Dr. Andani says keep going. Okay, we'll keep going. We'll keep going.
Relationship between the Quranic concept of gospel and what Christians call the gospel. Well, the relationship would be something like this. Jesus' gospel is Jesus' words. The four gospels are later biographies, evangelical biographies written about Jesus. So Jesus' words are the gospel that is embedded within, but not coextensive with the four gospels. And then the New Testament is even greater than that. This is not an error that the Quran is making. When the Quran says,
yeah, Dr. Andani, you should just say that you're a red letter Christian. You ever hear the term red letter Christian? It's like somebody, Hassan, do you know have you ever heard of a red letter Christian?
Yeah, the people who say that the revelatory content are the ipsissima verba from his own lips.
Yeah, exactly. Only the words of Jesus, basically, you know. For my formerly Baptistic mind, that's what makes sense.
as Jesus brought the gospel, or he was given the gospel singular, this is not a mistake. The Quran actually fully understands what is really going on here, because the earliest meaning of gospel, euangelion, that you find in the four gospels themselves is the teaching of Jesus, right? There are numerous verses that says Jesus proclaimed the gospel singular, or euangelion of God. Now, I would also note that if we read about early Christianity, within the first 2 centuries, before the four Gospels are canonized as the main collection, many Christians talked about a single gospel. The Didache, which I think is a 2nd century book, the Didache refers to Jesus' gospel with the word the Lord.
Oh, you take 2nd century authorship of the Didache, rare Dr. Andani L. Hassan, do you take 1st century authorship?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. Okay.
Commanded in his gospel, or the gospel of our Lord. And in the Didache, gospel means the teaching of Jesus. The first attestation of 4 gospels is only found with Irenaeus writing in the 2nd century. And we should also note that when Irenaeus talked about 4 gospels, many other Christian groups were only adhering to a single gospel. So even when they talked about the physical form of the gospel, Marcion only had one gospel. Justin only talks about one gospel. Tatian combined the 4 gospels into one gospel. The Ebionites only had one gospel. The adoptionists only had one gospel. Irenaeus says this himself. So the one gospel model is actually more antiquated and more closer to the original than the 4 gospel model. And I think what the Quran is doing when it says Jesus brought the gospel, I think the Quran is actually restoring the earliest Christian understanding of what the single gospel is.
Yeah, I guess my critique is that, and you did a huge study on this, the use of the word gospel in the New Testament, didn't you, Hassan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The question of what is the gospel?
It's an analogous term. Yeah. It can be used for anything from preaching to like a physical book. It's not necessarily referring. You know, we don't claim it's like a univocal term or anything like that. So I wouldn't have a problem with gospel talking about like the oral proclamation of the life, death, burial, and resurrection of our Lord, or it talking about the divine revelation that comes from God, for example, and it's preaching.
Well, I think that the Quran recognizes it as an analogous term as well, personally, because, like Dr. Andani says, it is definitely the case that it refers to like the revelatory content given to Christ, like the prophetic content that he possessed. But it seems also to refer to something which was had in the possession of the Ahl al-Injil, who were contemporaneous to Muhammad. Uses that phrase Ahl al-Injil in Surah Al-Ma'idah, and there are other places as well that, to me, like indicate that it's something which they have among them in textual form, contemporaneous to their own time.
So true.
All right. So does the Quran say the Jewish?
Oh, wait, did he touch the Torah at all?
He did. He said that the Torah basically refers to something revealed to Christ of the instruction that was given to former peoples.
He did. Are you going to explain that later? Because from my recollection, Hassan, you said that you think that the Torah issue is much clearer than the gospel issue itself.
Yeah, because of the Torah being with Zacharias, for example. But also, I think that Taurat it's unclear what Taurat means. So a lot of I think the more coherent Muslim response is that Taurat simply just refers to all previous revelation given to Bani Israel, the Jews. So all genuine revelation present in the Jewish corpus, and that's why they make their like Isaiah 42 arguments and stuff like that. But they basically, when they say Torah, they don't mean the Pentateuch, basically.
Sorry, Unison should have sent me something. Okay, we hit our goal, by the way, so that's W. We've exceeded our goal.
Cool.
We're next step 9,000 pounds.
It would be great to get to about 12K because that will help us a lot with doing some things that will help the catechetical situation, which is pretty tight on the ground, and also it will help us set some stuff up on a semi-permanent basis.
W. When's our next trip after the December trip?
No idea, but if we get a bunch of leftover money, it'll be easier to persuade the priests that help us to consider going again soon.
Okay, let's continue.
Christian scriptures are corrupted. Now, there's usually several verses. I put some of them on the screen, and these are verses that Muslims often cite to claim that there is a corruption of the Jewish and Christian scriptures. But let me specify what corruption means, right? This is not to say that, okay, the Bible has manuscript problems. The corruption that's described here is that false teachings have been mixed with genuine revelation. And that mixing happens, and then what the Christians canonize as the New Testament is already a mix of genuine revelation and revelation that's not really revelation, but which people claim is revelation. So when we say corrupted, what's being corrupted is not simply the biblical canon, but the very notion of revelation is being corrupted. Now, I know other people interpret these verses differently. They may say only the meaning of the revelation is corrupted. And I know Sam disagrees, and that's okay. But I would simply point out that if a Muslim believes that the revelation of Moses and the revelation of Jesus have been corrupted and they no longer exist in their original form today on the basis of the Quran, a Muslim is on very firm ground to hold this belief. Professor Walid Taleh, Quranic Studies professor, University of Toronto, says that the majority view of critical scholars is that all these verses above imply an accusation of textual tampering. Again, he says, the scholarly consensus is that the Quran does indeed make the charge that Jewish and Christian scriptures have been textually corrupted. So this is the view of the majority of Quranic studies scholars. So if a Muslim wants to deny that the Torah and the Gospel are preserved to this day, a Muslim is on very strong grounds to make that claim. They do have the backing of a lot of academic scholarship. Now, what else does the Quran have to say about the Bible? Well, and I'm going to go through this very quickly because I can't do all the examples, but if you read through the Quran, we find the Quran consciously, not accidentally, but consciously opposes and corrects stories, beliefs, and claims that are either in the Bible or interpreted from the Bible. Here's a long laundry list of them, and I'm happy to discuss some of these later. So, for example, I believe the Quran opposes God being a Trinity. I know that some people, perhaps our guest today, disagree. Some people think the Quran affirms the Trinity. So maybe that's something we can talk about. The Quran opposes the sonship of Jesus.
Wait. What did he mean by that, Hassan? Can you explain this to
me? I think he's being semi-sarcastic.
Oh, that the Quran affirms the Trinity?
There are a couple of schizoids on Discord who call themselves Trinitarian Muslims. I think they're just people who...
Yo, that's so based. That's so based.
Yeah, the people who've been on Discord way too long.
Yeah, as Kajitan said, that's so based. Wait, oh, does he? Interesting.
What the
Trinitarian Muslim Discord. That's great. I mean, do they have are these Trinitarian Quranists also like celebrating mass and stuff like this?
I actually know there's this old guy in the Netherlands who sent me an email claiming that actually the Quran is an ancient Christian liturgical book. That was very confusing.
The Quran's an ancient Christian liturgical book.
Yeah, and Muhammad didn't exist, and actually people are just misinterpreting it, and it's actually Trinitarian, and it just
This is
refutes
actually,
several Christian errors.
when we get our Quranic rite of the Mass, it's actually gonna.
Yeah, so when it says Lam yalid wa lam yulad, that's actually just Latin for
Yeah, that's
like
so
he does not begot, nor does he does not beget, nor is he begotten. It's referring to the
so
essence.
it's talking about the essence. That's true. That's true. my face when the Muslim says he's he neither begets nor is begotten. It's like, oh, are you quoting Lateran 4 at me?
Yeah.
That's
There
so.
was a really kind of over the top Catholic scholar, a priest called Louis Massignon, who made this claim. Actually made this claim in the 20th century.
Yeah, kissing of the Quran vindicated. That's true.
Yeah.
Sam thinks the Quran only denied material Son of God, but not eternal generation. Okay, can you talk for like a minute? I gotta grab water.
I don't know if the Quran actually does deal with traditional concepts of eternal generation. I don't think the Quran is Trinitarian. I think that's crazy, but I don't think that the Quran is written in such a manner as to show authorial consciousness of traditional Trinitarian doctrine. Oh, I see. What the heck is divine fluidity? Are you okay? Shia, if not Asheni. Green and red.
What are you doing, Hassan? You are losing the people. You're losing the
Answering
people.
random questions.
Oh, you're answering
What am
random
I supposed to
questions.
do, bro? Yeah.
Doctor and Donnie, does Quran
The
support
Quran,
conception of Mary?
somebody says plural. The Quran are full of lies. What does this mean?
The
What?
Quran are full of lies.
Wow. What part of UK are you from?
Fully Christian came back. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm from Wales.
I'm not doing Europe-friendly streaming times. Okay,
Hassan, does the Quran teach the filioque? I don't know, dude.
Okay, I want to ask all of these Trinitarian Muslims about the Quran's teaching on the filioque. I will bring on. I want to find one of these guys, one of these Trinitarian Muslims, and I want to bring them on, and I want to discuss the Trinity with them.
So what does it mean when Saint Aquinas says that the Son's divine nature remained in heaven? You wanna explain this one, Christian?
No,
No.
I
Just
don't.
means that it doesn't have a location, bro. It's the divine nature. How can it be in a place?
No, let's continue. Wait. So if he thinks the Quran teaches the Trinity, how does he use the argument of the Quran misunderstanding the Trinity? That's what I'm
I don't know.
wondering. Huh. Okay, let's continue.
The Quran opposes Jesus being the creative logos. The Quran opposes the divinity of Jesus. There are also other examples I could give, but this is just a summary. So according to Gabriel Reynolds, the Quran is not simply borrowing or doing this by accident. The Quran is consciously reshaping biblical material to advance its own religious claim. So the Quran, the author of the Quran, I believe, knows what's in the Bible. He knows what's in the New Testament, and he's intentionally opposing certain teachings that are in the New Testament. That's probably what's going on here. We even find that the author of the Quran, according to Imran al-Badawi, consciously corrects and re-articulates certain texts that are found in the Aramaic Gospel, so the fourfold Gospel collection. According to al-Badawi, 20% of the Gospel of Matthew is in dialogue with the Quran, and overall 12% of the Gospels are in dialogue with the whole Quran, and the Quran is in close dialogue with the text and context of the Gospels. So the Quran does not demonstrate a superficial awareness of the Gospel text. So the author of the Quran knows what's in the Gospels, and he or she is actually engaging with the content of the Gospels, often correcting, re-articulating certain things that are in there. All right. There are verses that people who've advanced the Islamic dilemma, they like to quote certain verses to claim that the Quran affirms the scriptures that are with the Jews and Christians, i.e. the Quran affirms the canons. So here's a verse that says, he descended on you the book with truth, confirming, and there's a translation here that says, confirming what is between his hands or his two hands. And I've seen this translation being used, but I would point out, if you check who these translators are, they have no academic or traditional credentials. And a more accurate rendering of this verse would be, he sent down to you the kitab, confirming what was before it. Okay, so this phrase, Baina Yadei, this is what's in dispute here. It literally means between two hands. It does, but this is an idiom in Arabic, and the idiomatic meaning is in front of or before. Can it mean in front of? Yes. But in the Quran, Baina Yadei also means temporally before. God sends the winds before his mercy. Believers give charity before their private meeting. 9 verses speak about the Quran or the Kitab as confirming, in my view, what was before it. Okay, and I would argue that this hyper-literal translation of confirming what is between its two hands is incoherent for 2 reasons. Number one, the Quran or Kitab is not a physical spatial reality. It doesn't have hands. It's an oral recitation. And number 2, the physical Bible was not standing before the Quran or in front of the Quran when the Quran is being recited. So Baina Yadehi cannot mean between its two hands, i.e. between the Quran's two hands. A proper translation would be confirming what was before it, and this is both found in tafsir and in most English translations. All right, another set of verses that people like to use to argue the Islamic dilemma is that the Quran is confirming what was already with you, or what is already with them. And I found this expression in about 6 verses. Sam and others argue that it means the Quran is confirming the Old and New Testaments. Okay, that's one possibility, but I would rebut that with 4 different ways. First, the phrase what is with them does not entail everything that is with them, nor is it specific enough to say the scriptures that are with them. So you either have to read this as everything that is with them or some of with them. Now, if one claims that this means everything with them is confirmed, then we need to be aware that the Christians in Arabia have with them many things that today's Christians would consider heretical, like Monophysite creeds, Apocrypha, Nestorian creeds, even Jewish Christians, according to Patricia Crona, Jewish Christian beliefs are with them. So then, therefore, the Quran is confirming a whole bunch of Apocrypha and heresies if you read everything with them as, all inclusive. Second reason why, all the verses that say confirming what is with them, in the same chapter, the Quran denies a belief that is also with them. God having a son, the Trinity, the Eucharist, divinity of Jesus, right? Same surahs contradict.
Wait. Surah 5 critiques the Eucharist. Can you explain this to me, Hassan?
I think that's fake.
You think that's
Sorry.
fake? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, only one super chat remains. Yeah, Anthony won. He won. Yeah, I was kind of confused by this because this doesn't make any sense, Dr. Andani. Because I mean, if the Quran actually critiqued the Eucharist as a ceremony, that would 1,000% mean that Islam is false, because there's nothing more widespread as a Christian expression of worship than the Eucharist. Oh, it recasts the Eucharist. Okay. Does it critique it as like a continuing ceremony or something like that? Okay. He told you to read this article, Hassan Gudarzi.
Yeah, I've heard of this. I just think it's fake. I think it is. I think it's about the. I think that the Ma'ida is about the Last Supper, but I don't think it's like a Eucharistic thing.
No one give $200. I'm pretty sure $100 is the top limit, so I don't think you'll have Yeah, and I've heard of this as well, the no atonement theology. I think that's another thing. I think when it comes to the atonement, at least from the ante-Nicene fathers that I've read, this seems to be one of the most widespread beliefs among early Christians. I don't know how one would argue that this is, there's like a non-atonement strain of Islam. Not of Islam, of early Christianity. Is it bad? Is it bad that I only go to adoration for 20-ish minutes? Is that a form of disrespect, and I should stay at least as long as a mass? I'm not aware of anything about that. I always
go as long as you can. Go as long as it's beneficial for you.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm passing by a church where I know it has 24/7 adoration, I'll just go in for like 5 minutes or something like that. Okay. There was, see, James Dunn. I will look up James Dunn. I'll be curious who he quotes, but let's continue.
A belief that is also with them. So everything with them cannot be a universal statement. Number 3, another verse 381 is more clear. It says that a prophet will come and confirm what is with the prophets. So it's only revelation that's being confirmed. It's not just anything that people have in their canon. Number 4, the word tasdik or musaddiq, often translated as confirmation, does not entail wholesale affirmation. Another meaning of tasdik is to make true.
This is a good argument.
Some scholars have said that.
Do you say this is a good argument?
Yeah, I think this is a good argument. I don't think that the confirming what you have with you is a good enough argument against this position.
Okay.
Tasdik means to make true, to cause to be true, to truify, to fulfill. According to Nikolai Sinai, confirmation is not to be confused with mere reiteration, but may involve a degree of authoritative modification and rectification. So the Quran confirming something that comes before can also include the Quran correcting what comes before. Now I'm out of my time, so I'll just close off over here by making one more point. The last point I'll make is this. Let's say you're not convinced by my response to the Islamic dilemma. That's okay. There are 2 other responses, but regardless of what response you go with, all Muslims will point to this verse. The Quran refers to itself as a muhayman, a supreme authority over the prior scriptures, whether they're preserved or not. This term has many meanings, but some of the meanings include the Quran as a judge, a trustworthy, and a controller over previous scriptures. And for this reason, the scholar Nikolai Sinai has said quite clearly that according to the Quran, Muhayman means that the Quran has authority over the previous scriptures. The Quran is the unimpeachable standard for the validity of statements about the content and meaning of prior revelations. As he says, the Quran is the decisive corrective against other revelations. The Quran is the ultimate arbiter. So even if I have to accept that the Bible is preserved, which I don't, but even if I did, because this is an internal critique, as a Muslim, I would use the Quran as the decisive criterion to interpret and recover the correct meaning of the Bible. So in that sense, I believe Muslims are clearly able to answer the Islamic dilemma. Thank you, Sam, and thank you, Cameron, for allowing me to be part of this.
The season of giving is all about hope, compassion, and joy.
Okay.
Yet for some children, this time of year is like any other, a constant struggle to survive.
Okay, anyways, what do you, as a sort of closing off of this section, what do you think about the opening statement in general?
I think it was okay. It was a good refutation of some of the arguments that generally get taken as good that I don't think are good. I liked it. There's a lot of I think there's some bad arguments amongst the ones that Dr. Andani responded to here that are generally still today taken as good arguments when they shouldn't be.
If Dr. Andani wins, we're going to see Muslim be Wagner. Absolutely not. Does most Catholics hold the position
thing to say.
Thomas didn't change his mind on the Immaculate Conception? Most Thomists hold historically that he didn't deny the Immaculate Conception. That was the majority view historically. Well, at least historically after like mid to late 16th century, although there are some before who also hold this position. And I mean, this isn't merely a Thomist thing either. There are Franciscans and others as well who defend St. Thomas on this point. So, yeah. And it seems like Ineffabilis Deus actually, particularly, which we can know from the letters written before and during the drafting of the document, that Ineffabilis Deus was specifically written not to exclude the common interpretation of St. Thomas by the Thomists. So take that for what you will. Oh, you got thanked, Hassan. Dr. Andani says thanks, Hassan, for a fair assessment.
Nice. Okay,
now let's see what Sam says. I'm curious.
All right. So at this point, we're about to turn to open dialogue, and this portion will last. We'll see. I mean, like I said at the beginning of the stream, we are going to, at least the plan is to take questions. So if you'd like to send those again, try to send them as super chats. I anticipate getting quite a number of questions for my two guests. We've got 1,300 people watching right now, but looks like we've only got about 300 likes. I want to encourage.
Yeah, just like you guys need to remember to like this. There's how many people watching? 270 people watching. Not as many likes. In your opinion, he never denies the Immaculate Conception, right? Correct.
Yeah, and there's lots of very good arguments for this.
Can't get over the fact 20 years after Muhammad's death. Okay, so is this a meme? The third caliphate burning all the other Qurans, or is that right?
This is disputed, but like it is recorded in the books that it happened.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was just curious.
There's also like a lot of memes about the distinction between like 7 ahraf and 7 qira'at, so 7 like textual variants and 7 like recitation methods, and then 7 recitation methods of one of the ahraf, one of the textual variants. All that stuff is probably like nonsense. All that stuff is probably nonsense. It's probably like just the Warsh version has some textual problems, and the Hafs harf is probably just more or less preserved like the actual text of the Quran.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is, but that sounds cool. Sounds like a good answer. I agree with whatever your position is, Hassan. Would you ever do a TikTok invasion stream? Would be awesome. No, I probably wouldn't do that. I mean, TikTok is just a cesspool. You know, I don't want to try that. Okay, let's continue.
So, Sam, would you like to begin with just kind of laying out like your view of the Islamic?
What the heck, buddy? There you go. He dropped a blueberry underneath my office door, and he was really upset that he couldn't get his blueberry. So, yeah, had to save him.
Dilemma, like how would you describe the dilemma itself?
You know, I mean this. I really love Dr. Adani. He's a professional academic, so I love his approach. And the one thing I want to say is, in your articulation Islamic dilemma, I don't know if you're aware that when you say the Quran contradicts the Bible, and therefore can't be confirming it, that's part of our dilemma. That's actually part of the argument. So this is why when you're saying these statements that the Quran cannot be confirming everything that's with them because it contradicts it, this is what our argument is. It assumes that it's in agreement with those scriptures, but it contradicts them, and hence the Quran is not a revelation from God. Now, I don't know if you're arguing as an academic or you're arguing as a theologian, because when I heard your presentation with Paul Williams, you said you can approach the Quran from two perspectives. Either you can approach it academically, descriptively, and see what the Quran says, or you can approach it from a theological position. From what I heard in your presentation, there was a combination of both. You're assuming that the Quran is revelation, so that if the Quran contradicts the scriptures are wrong. But now let us try to be neutral. Let us not approach it theologically, academically. So when it says confirming all that is with them, you stated, well, that means would it confirm even the apocryphal gospels? Well, that's your dilemma. That's not my dilemma. That's the dilemma that you have to resolve, because there's nothing in the passages you cited, and I have a whole list of them and I can share my screen. And since you went to pre-modern tafsir, and part of your arguments is that you included Sunni tafsirs, I'm going to include them as well. So my question to you is, since the Quran says it confirms what is with them and doesn't qualify it, how do you know that the apocryphal gospels are not inspired? That's your burden. That's your dilemma. So how do you know they're not inspired?
And we may be their last hope. Every single minute,
Bro,
the conditions are changing.
The need, the urgency, the importance.
Come on now.
Do you want me to answer?
Yes, I'm waiting for it now.
Okay, so the first thing is the Islamic dilemma is a dilemma. It's called the Islamic dilemma because it's an argument that Christians present to Muslims, and it actually assumes a Muslim belief in the Quran. So to answer the dilemma, I have to take a position as a Muslim, which I happen to be. But when we mince over what is the correct meaning of the Quran, because that's what the dilemma comes down to. The dilemma comes down to you guys interpret certain verses some way, yeah. I interpret verses another way. So I appeal to critical historical scholarship on the Quran because that is a good indicator of what the Quran means in its own context, just like we would do the same to critical historical scholarship on the Bible, right? So
yeah, I don't want to cut you off. Yeah, so now you're now arguing
your question.
Yeah, but you're arguing theologically now, so you're going to come in as a Muslim. Because I was listening to your presentation, that's why. I'm going by what you said with Paul Williams. So now that you're answering it theologically, since you assume the Quran is revelation, and I assume it isn't. So now the argument of the Quran is to convince the Jews and Christians, this prophet is a prophet in the line of the prophets that came before him. And what he has confirms what is with them. And that's one of the arguments he gives, that they should take what he has seriously because it comes from the same source. So now, since you're saying that if we take this, and by the way, I need to screen share. I don't know if can we screen share because I want to show my.
We can definitely make that happen. So
okay, this is interesting, Hassan. What do you think about that? Because this is basically a motive of credibility for his own preaching, that it would basically be a completely ineffective appeal unless there was a sort of visible continuity with the revelation that they possessed.
I'm not sure how this would work, because the fact that that is the case does not necessarily mean that he didn't say it.
What did bro say? I have no. What do you mean by
I said the fact that that's the case, the fact that it would be harmful to his persuasive power, doesn't mean that he wouldn't have. That he
no, I'm
definitely
not
didn't
saying
say
that it was like something less persuasive. I'm saying, okay, basically, like, let's say we have our friend Gideon, and he goes and talks to a bunch of Jews about why Christianity is true, and he's like, well, you need to talk. You need to look into the Old Testament. And you need to look into, these various sources from traditional Jewish exegesis and blah, blah, blah. You need to look into the Old Testament. And if you look into the Old Testament, you see that Jesus is the Messiah. And then you look into the Old Testament, they're like, well, I don't see it here. And he's like, well, that's corrupted. You need to, we need to correct this on the basis of, the New Testament. Like, that would just be, not only would it be like something less effective, it would be completely ineffective as an argument. Do you know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. I don't think that he did that. But okay. I also don't think that the fact that it would destroy his persuasive power means that he didn't do it.
I don't know. What I'm trying to say is
I think
it seems to assume that this is I'm saying that this is it seems to be a persuasive reason for reading it the way that Sam is reading it, is what I mean. Like a sort of extrinsically persuasive reason that unless there was a strict identity between what he was talking about and what they possessed, it wouldn't even make sense in the first place to use this as an argument. It seems to assume that this was the case.
Well, that was my point from not the confirming thing, because it's confirmed from what is among you, I don't think is sufficient for the reason that Dr. Andani mentioned. Whereas I think the verse in Surah Al-Ma'idah that I mentioned that refers to them as Ahl al-Injil, says Ahl al-Injil will judge according to what God has revealed to them therein. Right? How on earth are they supposed to judge according to that criterion if they've mixed it all up? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
How are they supposed to judge? How are they supposed to judge anything according to that criterion? How are they supposed to identify those things from an Islamic perspective? Well, obviously their only choice is to become Muslim. So
yeah, I mean, I don't, Dr. Andani, I don't.
Yeah, really I know what you're saying, Dr. Andani. I'm saying how do they differentiate between quote unquote kitab and
yeah? I mean, is Sam misrepresenting the situation? Is he misrepresenting this as some sort of persuasive encounter between Christians and Jews and Muslims? I mean, if that's the case, it would, at least to me as a sort of outsider who doesn't really know much, that seemed to be very persuasive for accepting his reading of this.
I think one of Sam's mistakes is that he treats the Quran as generally speaking to Christians global, like Christians as a monolith.
Yeah.
Whereas, as Dr. Andani said, there's so many different groups, and it seems to me that different places where the Quran says the Christians,
Okay.
it refers to the Christians you're speaking to right now, O Muhammad.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense why he brought that up earlier in the presentation then. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because then that would I get this now. I get why he provided that side of the dilemma when it came to the canon.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are descriptions and repudiations of doctrines of quote unquote the Christians that are not mutually compatible. And it's not just like pointing out contradictions within Christian doctrine. It's saying that various different Christian beliefs are absurd among the different groups. I think that's very clear.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, I will reserve judgment then and continue. If we hit 200 likes, Wagner will make his metaphysics course free. Should I? Should I? Maybe I will.
Just start sharing your screen and I'll get it pulled up.
Yeah, if we can bring this up. Can I scroll down, or does he have to?
No, you. Let me unshare. Hold on. There we go.
Yeah. So now, is there a way you can enlarge it or no? No. Okay, we can't hear you, Cameron.
Oh, sorry about that. I had my mic muted. You're gonna have to scroll on your end. There you go.
Oh,
you have to zoom in.
All right. Okay. So you said confirm doesn't mean everything. Well, you have to first demonstrate that, not by going to a passage that says, well, see, in that same Quran, it then contradicts what is found in those scriptures. Well, are you admitting then that this statement is referring to the scriptures in the possession of the Jews and Christians, which would be the New Testament? But you're now assuming that it doesn't confirm all of it, but some of it, because for you to go to chapter 2, verse 116 or 117 to show that it denies that Allah has a son, therefore, this cannot mean it confirms everything. So that implicitly affirms that the Quran is acknowledging the New Testament and the Old Testament, but not all of it. So earlier you said that the Quran does not at all acknowledge the New Testament. It's aware of it, but doesn't acknowledge it or even appeal to it. So what are you saying exactly here?
So I said earlier, and if you look at the graphic that I had posted earlier, right? So I said that what the Quran confirms in the case of Christianity is.
By the way, I can pull that back up if you want to share. It's up to you. If
it's okay. So Sam, if you recall, in one of my slides, I had a diagram, and I said what the Quran confirms is the gospel taught by Jesus. That's how it defines the gospel. It doesn't define the gospel as writings about Jesus, and it doesn't define the gospel as a 27-book New Testament canon. Do you agree?
Yeah, but I'm not referring to the gospel. That was part of your argument. And I agree with you that the gospel that the Quran mentions is given to Jesus. But my argument goes beyond that. It doesn't just speak the gospel of Jesus, right?
That's fine. That's fine. So just for starters, though, the definition of gospel in the Quran is the message of Jesus. It's not the New Testament.
Oh, come on! Why
does it have to be? I don't understand why it can't be a poly. I don't understand why it can't be a polyvalent term.
People, are there like blonde, super white people in Gaza?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you serious? How did I not know this? Like actually, like Anglo-looking people in Gaza. That's crazy.
Their hair gets darker when they get older.
But the mother looks super white.
There's a lot of people that look like that.
What?
Mm-hmm.
I guess it was. Wow. Wow, I didn't know that. You're telling me this now for the first time. That's crazy.
I will just ask you for.
Okay, so you want me to? I mean, I can address it, yeah, but see, that's not solely my argument. I agree.
No, I know it's not your sole argument, but that's a premise.
Revelation given to Jesus, but whatever that revelation is, it was there and it was accessible to the Christians per 547 other path, which we'll get into. But my argument was, what was the Quran confirming in the possession of the Jews and Christians? And it says that they're supposed to uphold not only the Torah and Gospel, all the revelation given to them. So this is what I'm trying to get at. What is that revelation in Arabia? What did the Christians have?
So within the Christian canon, within the New Testament, there is content in there that is extant revelation from what Jesus taught, from what the prophets taught. That how do I know what?
What is your criterion to determine that the statements in these books contain that revelation? Aren't you begging the question? Because you assume the Quran is revelation, and it's the standard. This is true, this is not.
Okay, so the Islamic dilemma is called the Islamic dilemma because it is an internal critique brought by Christians against believing Muslims. The Islamic dilemma is not an academic argument. It is a polemical, religious, theological argument. So a theological argument is brought by Christians to a believing Muslim. I'm a believing Muslim.
To show what?
Sorry?
To show what? To show that the claim of Muhammad that God sent him is false, that he's not a true prophet.
Yeah, so the Islamic dilemma presumes that the interlocutor already has an established belief in the Quran, and they're trying to lead them from an established belief in the Quran as revelation to a non-belief in the Quran and a belief in Christianity.
Sure.
That's the dilemma. Okay. Right. So therefore, whoever is answering the dilemma, in this case, it's me. Tomorrow, you might talk to somebody else, but today it's me.
I like
so. In answer, no, I enjoy talking to you too. So, as a Muslim, I have at my disposal, right, all the internal resources of Islam to answer the dilemma, and to answer the dilemma, I don't have to go back and start from atheism. Of course, if you want me to do that,
one second, pause. Something occurs to me. Sam really likes Muslims who don't hold certain perspectives that he considers retrograde or like violent, right? It's kind of funny because like some of the same reasons he's okay with Dr. Andani are reasons that he wouldn't like us. I just realized that now. Dang.
Oh
man,
I don't know. I think Dr. Andani's giving a fair point. I think the question how we recover previous revelation is completely distinct from the question of the Islamic dilemma.
Yeah,
I think that's a fair point.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean I think that could be a point in which we bring up in a debate. I just think it's a different debate, you know.
Yeah.
Although we have similar things. Like we have periods throughout the history of the church and throughout the history of Israel where there's a decay of religion and a loss of certain rights or even certain books, and this gets recovered, and this is recovered by an appeal to religious authority. So,
well, like St. John Chrysostom says that the Book of Acts was scarcely known in his time, for example.
Really, I've never read that.
Yeah, in the first homily in the Book of Acts, he says that it's not known by many.
Yeah. So I think that
Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, exactly. In Ezra, and then also in Second Chronicles and First Kings. Or the Second Chronicles?
It's the first line. It's the first line of the book. To many persons, this book is so little known, both it and its author, that they're not even aware that there is such a book in existence.
Mm. Yeah, and I mean
that's the first line of his book on the whole.
Dr. Andani, you can use it even. You can use it even better examples for Catholics as well when it comes to the Deuterocanon, and the Deuterocanon basically certain books being written so late that it was almost like never accepted within most Jewish circles. Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's a different. I think it might be a fair discussion to have, but I think it's a completely different question. So, yeah, I think that's fair for Dr. Andani to say this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you want to continue?
Yeah.
But I'm critiquing what you think is an internal method that consistently refutes the Islamic dilemma. So we keep repeating the same thing. So what I want to try to advance the conversation. I'm aware that you think that within the Quran, you have the means by which to refute the Islamic dilemma. And I'm showing you're actually confirming the Islamic dilemma if you understand the point I'm making. And maybe it's my fault that I'm not as clear. So let me repeat what I'm saying here.
Sure. Yeah.
You think the Quran is revelation. And therefore, the Christians and Jews who believe that the God of Abraham sent these prophets, if they are consistent, they're going to have to believe that God sent Muhammad. And the most obvious thing to do is follow him. The Christians come back and say, well, hold on. since you claim that the same God of Abraham sent you and that your message agrees with the prophets, well, here are the scriptures that we have in our possession from the prophets. We don't see you're consistent with them, and that's grounds to reject you as a false prophet. You're now coming back. I want you to hear yourself, and I know you are. You're now coming back and saying, well, see, internally, the Quran says the scriptures are not fully intact. So then you're using the Quran to show which parts are intact, and those parts that contradict the Quran are false, which then leads the Christian to say, exactly, that's what false prophets do. That's what Joseph Smith does. That's what everyone does. When the Bible exposes them as a fraud, see, your Bible's corrupt. Therefore, that's part of the dilemma. That's why we call Islamic dilemma.
No, so I think what's going on here is you're not actually employing the Islamic dilemma in its original way. So again,
that's all my debate.
Is the Islamic dilemma, is it an internal critique? Because that's what everybody says.
The Islamic dilemma, let me again, because you said I'm not blind consistently. Have you watched all my debates, read all my articles to know?
I've read a ton of your stuff. I've been binging your stuff for the last month. So, and Jay Dyer as well. So
let me explain to you the dilemma. The dilemma is this: if the Quran sets forth the argument that the scriptures of the Jews and Christians that they have is to be determinative for them to know whether the Quran confirms what is with them, because that's the argument. Let's bring up my screen.
Okay, that's not the argument.
Well, let me show you. No, remember, you did concede. There are various ways of interpreting these passages, so I'm not committed to your explanation. I'm going
to where does the Quran say? Yeah, okay, sure. Yeah.
The very passage you quoted, 242, you didn't quote 40 to 44. Let me go through this. And this is where you beg the question saying, well, confirm doesn't mean everything, because here's what he's refuting it, which refuted actually nothing. It actually pushed the dilemma back further and caused more difficulties for your position, if I can articulate it. Here, let's go to 289. When there came to a book from God confirming what is with them, and they aforetime prayed for victory over the unbelievers, when there came to them that they recognized they disbelieve in it, and the curse of God is on the believers. So that's one. But here, the one you quoted, 242 on the screen, let's read it in context. Children of Israel, remember my blessing wherewith I blessed you, and fulfill my covenant, and I shall fulfill your covenant, and have awe of me. And believe in that I have sent down, confirming that which is with you. So here's the key. I'm sending this down that confirms what you have, so believe it. Now, it makes no sense to say, hey, believe what I sent down, confirming only a part what you have, because there are parts of it corrupt, because that would be grounds for the Jews to say, false prophet. And be not the first to disbelieve in it, and sell not my signs for a little price, and fear you me, and do not confound the truth with vanity, and do not conceal the truth wittingly. Well, you can't conceal something you don't have, Dr. Andani. And perform the prayer and pay the alms, and bow with those that bow. Will you bid others of piety and forget yourselves while you're
This is part of why I believe that the textual corruption is supposed to do with specific scribes in the time of Muhammad using basically being accused of like altering the text that they were going to use in debates with him so that he couldn't beat them. I think that's what this is about, rather than the corruption of the standing texts as they were accepted in that time.
Yeah, but that's kind of epic though. You just start having a conversation with somebody and you want to beat them, so you just change the text. Yeah,
Turretin moment.
Turretin moment, bro. That's so true. That's so true.
Yeah.
That is true. That's like
who would ever do that? No one would ever do that. That would destroy his credibility. Turretin moment.
Yeah. Or when you quote like three words of a very long passage, and then completely ignore everything else it's said. You know, that's I don't know. I think Sam's being very persuasive here. I think from like, why is my son crying? Anyways, I think from like a sort of, okay. Give me 1 second. Hassan entertain.
Well, how am I supposed to do that? Kyle's position that Catholics venerate post-schism saints. Huh? We literally have them in the Martyrology. Theodosius of Kiev, Sergius of Radonezh. Hello? What did he mean by this? The website won't be dropping for a while because we had a change in agreement about a certain thing, which means that the some of the web pages cannot remain the same. Why are suddenly extra raw?
Okay, I'm back. Yeah, but basically, what I was saying is that from purely like extrinsic grounds, it wouldn't really make much sense for me that this argument would be made, or that they would be held to this standard, or that there wasn't. I mean, from providential grounds, it doesn't really make sense. You would have a revelation.
Imagine coming into this video and thinking that the comment "Islam is over, what a disgrace, Muhammad is burning in hell right now" is somehow constructive, aids anybody's salvation, and isn't just like self-gratifying nonsense. Sometimes you just shouldn't speak if you're not going to actually have a positive effect on anybody. Sorry.
So true. Anyways, what was I saying?
Sorry, you were explaining why you think that Sam is making a good point.
Oh yeah, I mean, I basically said what I said because I think there would be some sort of natural obligation to the preservation of written revelation from the very purpose of the book. It wouldn't really make sense to inspire books. I mean, unless, I guess they could say that there weren't books that were inspired, though. That there was no inspired writing down until the Quran. Is that what they believe, Hassan?
No. Well, maybe some people do, but I've never heard of that in my life. Not from any sect.
Okay, so they think that there were books that were inspired to be written down, but all those copies were lost and only the copies that were messed up were passed down?
Well, it's not just like copies being messed up, it's the mixture of legitimate material with illegitimate material. So for example, consider like Isaiah. There's the locutions of God according to Isaiah, and then the stuff he wrote down to contextualize it, right?
Yeah.
They're going to say that that's not inspired, for example. And also, Muslims have a completely different view of inspiration, where our kind of like incarnational view of like a two author, one product reality, right? They just don't have this concept. Like, they don't consider Muhammad to be an author of the Quran, and they don't consider the prophets to be authors of the prophetic texts.
That's interesting, Dr. Andani.
Except,
basically, you have like a very well, you have a view that some very strange liberal Catholic scholars hold to. It's basically like only the words.
They're not Catholics. Sorry, bro.
Yeah, I mean they're not. They're heretics. But
yeah,
you know, only the words spoken touching faith and morals, and nothing else. All of the contextual stuff is not inspired.
Yeah.
That's it's interesting.
I mean, it's worse than incidental error. The mistaken views of incidental error that, like, for example, Ratzinger had, or that Lofton has, right?
Yeah.
Because it goes further and it just straight up says that there are various false formal assertions.
Yeah, you're getting destroyed right now in the comment section, Hassan. But continue.
Am I?
Yeah, you are. There are saints that literally said to Muslims their prophet is false and were martyred for it. They're in the martyrology. That's real.
Yes, he's actually one of those is actually the patron of our order, bro.
You guys is that you're not supposed to tell Muslims that you think that their prophet is false. That's actually what Hassan.
That's absolutely what I said.
That's so real. That's what he meant to say.
You guys are like actually saying that Muhammad is a false prophet is just the same thing as going up to somebody and being like, "Oh, that's disgraceful. Actually, Muhammad is in hell." Come on, bro. That's not the same thing. You think Saint Nicholas Tablich and his companions were slaughtered because they went into like the Masjid al-Umar and then like went up to a bunch of Muslims and smirked and said, "Do you know that your prophet is in hell burning?" Like, really? That's actually what you think happened?
Yeah.
Do you think the saints were as gay as you are? I'm sorry, bro.
So true. Well, Hassan is
they were not.
Yeah, you're stopping the mass conversions that would come if we just told all the Muslims that Muhammad was gay.
So true.
You're
So true.
you're
Hey, you know what? You know what? Maybe there's some Eastern Christians who should try that.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah. I mean, it's their best chance of going to heaven. At least they'll be killed in ODFE day.
Yeah, then that's a good point. It's a good point. Would the Sunnis saying God is a hand or foot analogically imply composition? Well, analogy.
What?
I mean, by analogy, are you talking about like analogy of improper proportionality? So, like in the same way as we call God a lion.
What?
What did Hassan mean by that?
What?
What do you? Okay, so I guess not. One thing we should all try is mental prayer. Any good resources? Huh? Any good resources on mental prayer? You ask.
Pope Benedict XVI said that mental prayer is an ordinary means that enables the disciple of Jesus to live in intimacy with the divine teacher. Yet, how does one engage in mental prayer? One of the greatest masters of the spiritual life was Saint Ignatius of Loyola. In the 19th century, a certain Jesuit priest decided to write a complete guide to mental prayer, patterned on the works of Saint Ignatius. Check out this work on Amazon, completely typeset under the title A Brief Guide to Mental Prayer According to the Mind of Saint Ignatius.
Yeah, that book is a good resource on mental prayer. Thank you for why I have no idea. One guy, I'm so mad about this. You guys need to flood it with positive reviews. One guy gave it a 1-star review for no reason. He said this book sucks or something like that. And I was like, dude, why?
That's so
Stupid. That to me?
What the?
Yeah, I'm actually kind of mad about that.
The?
That like puts it down in the ratings. It makes less people see it and everything like that. Like that one guy trying to be funny, and he stopped a lot of people from getting that book. Anyways, it's 3.8 stars now. Okay, good. People are positively reviewing to get rid of it. Okay, good. Anyways, do you want to continue us on? Hassan.
Yeah, go on.
Argue that in this context, the book refers to the heavenly one because it's saying it's reciting that book. So even if it's the heavenly one, they must have a replica of it on earth for them to recite it. Let me just give you one more, and then I want you to engage the argument. Now, since you quoted Sunni expositors, you quoted them. Here, I'm going to quote Qurtubi, whom you listed as one of those who thought that pretty much the New Testament is not the revelation of God. Okay, now, Tafsir al-Qurtubi, volume on pages 338, 339. That means the Jews in the book, here's the Quran, while what is with them refers to the Torah and the Gospel. So now we're back to the point I'm trying to make. I can give you more. It says confirming what is with them. And here, a Sunni exegete who doesn't believe the Bible is uncorrupt admits what they had was the Torah and Gospel. And the argument is this revelation is true because it confirms what you have. So my question to you is, here, what would the Torah and the Gospel be in their possession? And then how can you tell me it's only confirming a part of it? Because that would be an argument against Muhammad. They'll say, oh, so you're saying our scripture's corrupt? All the more reason you're a false prophet.
Hi, I'm JT, and I made Result Hunter, the search engine for conservatives. Let me just tell you what it does.
The search engine for conservatives? Are you serious? Why the heck do we need a
How is this?
For conservatives?
How is this real? How is this real?
Oh my goodness! In the St. Thomas sense of analogical predication, there's multiple senses in which he uses analogical predication. There's at least 5 different senses.
Maria.
I mean, do you mean properly? If you mean properly, obviously it's going to imply composition. But do you mean metaphorically or improperly? In that case, no, it wouldn't imply composition. Do you not know anything about search engines? I don't know anything about search engines.
In the Bible, there are metaphorical attributions of body parts to God. Have you ever prayed the office? You know that we say that he's going to shield us with his wings and stuff like that?
Yeah, I know that part.
I mean, for bro who is confused about this. In fact, maybe I'm just completely confusing what he's trying to say if he is aware of those verses.
No, he's
it's not that clear.
asking about if it is analogously, then does this imply composition? I asked, and I told him that he needed to distinguish between the multiple types of analogy.
Yeah, I know, but that's kind of what I mean. I don't think he's familiar with with this.
Do you have a breakdown of your credentials / experience anywhere? It doesn't really matter, but I was curious. I couldn't find it in your website. No, I don't. I just don't like talking about it. I mean, I have my master's in theology. That's about it. I like some sort of privacy. So this is the link to the brief guide to mental prayer. You guys got to give it 5 stars because right now it has 3.8 stars. The one guy, verified buyer, said waste of money. I returned it, and verified purchaser. That's crazy.
Why did he do this?
I have no idea. The guy's name is
That's so dumb.
Amazon customer. So it's a completely anonymous guy. Wait, this is just a person that looks like they just randomly. Okay, this actually goes a little bit deep. Okay, let me share my screen. It's badly typeset. It's not, bro. Oh my gosh, it's not badly typeset. That's fake. That's fake. I have a copy. I actually don't have.
It's typeset very well.
It's typeset very well. Yeah, look, he just reviews random stuff. Great board, exactly what I wanted. Great projects, beautiful placemats. Don't buy it. Product was a bust. Don't buy it. He just reviews random stuff. And for some reason, out of all of the random stuff that he reviewed, it happened to be my one book that he reviewed. He's just like a bot that reviews stuff and occasionally gives 1-star reviews so it doesn't catch it. This is so annoying.
Dang.
I just happen to be the one guy who was super unlucky about this. Okay. Anyways, I work at Amazon. I will find him. Good. Please find him and bring me his head. Okay, let's continue.
First of all, big tech right now is run by a bunch of elitist people who all happen to vote the same way and who all happen to live in huge cities on the West Coast. And so,
well, he's missing the most important trait.
Citizenship. I thought they happen to live in Israel.
They happen to live in these like small communes outside of New York that are actually not that small.
Yeah, they happen to be the group of people who were not tweeting on October 7th. Happen to be those.
They happen to be from the group of people that no American politician can speak against.
happen to have a summer home in Tel Aviv. You know, his okay.
True.
Well, I can't go further in this or I'll make progressively worse jokes about this. Okay. Works on mental prayer. Spiritual Exercise, St. Ignatius, Catechism of Mental Prayer, The Way of Perfection by St. Teresa of Avila. That's real. Okay. Let's continue. I can't talk about this. Oy vey, I can't do it. Yeah.
Result Hunter takes those elitist values and elitist sources.
Should I love socialism? Really, bro? What is this, 2016?
And kind of pushes them down a little bit in the search engine. Meanwhile, it takes those sources of truth that we believe have been deranked a little bit by Google, and it pushes those up a bit. And the main thing that you'll gain from using the search engine is that your ad revenue that you generate by going all over the web will be much.
Okay. Where is this guy?
Much more likely to support conservatives and things that support conservative values rather than things that support elitist and liberal cultural values. So thank you. Please use resulthunter.com if you're a conservative. Hit try now to go over there and it'll become your.
I already hit it.
Okay. So number one, this is an internal critique. So if it's an internal critique, I have to repeat myself because you're sort of missing the logic of this. Yeah. So when you make an internal critique, you grant the belief system of the other side, and you try to start with their belief system and you try to lead them out of their belief system. Okay, that's an internal critique. And later today, if you want me to show you, I can show you 4 Christian dilemmas that are also internal critiques, just so you can see what this is.
That would be too colloquial, right? So let's continue the subject.
No. I'm just as example.
It's not a too colloquial. What is he doing? Oh, poor Sam. Oh man. Dr. Andani, you were kind of killing him here. That's kind of rough.
Yeah, this is Muslim This is Muslim bias right here. Hassan, you're a secret Muslim.
So true. So true.
This result hunter thing kind of sucks. It takes forever and it looks ugly.
What are you trying to do?
I'm looking at the result. I'm looking at my conservative conservative search engine right now. This sucks.
I see.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I hate it. I give up. Okay, let's okay, so Sam's argument improves a lot towards the end of the debate. Okay, cool. Okay, we'll continue. I'm definitely praying for your job interview so that I have money to give him. Yeah, everybody please get jobs so you have more money to give me. You know, you owe me if you watch my live streams, you owe me at least 25% of your paycheck every single week, okay? Yeah, I go woke. That's true.
Okay, so second thing is, these verses are not arguing. They're not saying the Quran is true because it confirms what is with you.
Yes, it is.
It's not. No, it's not an argument.
That's what it is.
It's not an argument.
Sorry, Dr. Kandani. I'm not here to grant your reading. That's the argument.
Okay, so then I don't grant your reading, though.
Okay,
but
so
I don't grant your reading. So then your dilemma doesn't work. If your dilemma relies on me granting every way you read the Quran, then your dilemma is just talking to yourself.
Okay, no. What it proves is the point we've been making. The Muslims cannot deal with their own scripture, so they have to argue the way that you're actually making my case. So I just want to make it clear how you're making my case. This is where you're up against the wall, because if you just read the text, someone comes to the text and not assume what you're assuming, just reading it, the argument is clear. You should believe this book because it confirms what is with you. But then the Jews are saying, no, it doesn't. It contradicts your false prophet. You see the dilemma, so you have to deny it, which you're actually making my case. This is your dilemma. You can't grant the plain reading because there's nothing in the context that says it only confirms a part of what they have. Can you show me that in the verse?
Okay, so two things. Number one, there's the word because is not there. It's not saying believe in, it doesn't say believe in the Quran because it confirms. The phrase confirming what is with you is describing, it's more like an adjective. It's just describing what the Quran does. It's not saying believe in X because it confirms what is with you.
What does it do though? You're saying so believe in X.
Sam, let's let Khalil kind of finish this point here.
Okay. I'm sorry, my apologies. Because I'm talking
the word liana because is not there. You can check the Arabic. It's not there. So it's not presented, this is not presented as an argument the way you're claiming. Now, I get you read it that way, but I'm not obligated to.
I don't mean to. I just want to bring up my article. You keep splitting it down. Bring it up. So, okay, sorry. I apologize. Continue. I don't mean to cut you off. My apologies. I just want to bring it up.
No base, Sam.
So I'm not obligated to read the verse that way, okay? Because actually, what's going on here is the confirmation, and I've already talked about this, right? There are multiple reasons why it's not confirming everything. Because in Surah 2, right, there are beliefs that are with the Christians, such as the sonship of Jesus, which are denied. So what I think you're doing, and this is a broader point that applies to what you said at the beginning of this discussion. So you said that, you know, all these examples where the Quran opposes a biblical teaching, you use that as a data point for premise 2. But that data is also relevant against premise 1. Okay? Do you understand what I'm saying? So premise 1 is the Quran affirms the Bible or affirms the New Testament. That's premise 1. Premise 2 is the Quran opposes the teachings of the New Testament. But all the data that you furnish for premise 2 is a knockdown of premise 1.
Okay.
And the only way you could argue, the only way that you could sort of make an arbitrary split and refuse to apply the same data to premise 1 that you put into premise 2 is by just being arbitrary, by having an assumed conclusion.
Can I address your point? This is not like, I'm not trying to, but we need to interact more than just, okay. Doctor, you want to have your cake and eat it too. I want people to go back and hear your presentation. You yourself admitted that there is a minority view. I don't know how you determine it's a minority view because it's a significant minority view, and I can list Bukhari and others, but I want people to go back because he wants his cake to eat it too. Did we not hear you say that one plausible interpretation, which is not yours, is that yes, the Quran confirms the New Testament, and yet it doesn't teach divine sonship in the Trinity. So your point is moot because what the Quran would be attacking is a sonship attributed to Christ by Trinitarians, but you acknowledged that you can read the New Testament in a way as Unitarians do and deny the divine sonship of Christ in the Trinity. So that means even according to your argument, the Quran is not contradicting the contents of the New Testament. So why do you want your cake and eat it too?
So that's
That's
part
not
of
bad.
response number 3. I did my.
Would you say, Hassan?
That's not bad. That's not a bad response, I think. But it doesn't match with the actual argument that he's taking. Sorry, go
on. Is it true that in Islam the rocks and trees will tell Muslims where the Jews are hiding at the end times?
Wait, what's wrong with that?
Hey, let's cool with the anti-Semitic remarks. But yeah.
Ya Muslim.
Dude,
Ya Muslim. He is behind me. Oh Muslim. That's a Sunni hadith, but it still goes hard.
It does go so hard. Wait,
because the two funny sentient rock hadiths in Sunni books. It's like the first one is, did you know that the reason rocks have marks on them is because Moses beat the crap out of one once when it ran away with his clothes because it wanted to keep the clothes of a holy man? And then the second one is, at the end of time, the rock, like the rock is much wiser, and he's like pious, and he's like, Muslim, behind me there is a Jew, come and get him. You know, it's kind of wild. The story of the rock, the rock becoming wise. Strange.
Okay, I wonder if this is the full quote. I'm looking for the full quote. I will read this as a dispassionate reader of a anti-Semitic hadith about the rocks and trees, okay? Crap, what is this? Why can't I find the hadith?
What are you looking for?
I'm trying to find the hadith.
About the rock?
Yeah.
Just Google it.
I am Googling. I'm Googling it, but I can't find it. Okay, this is annoying.
Which rock? Just say, the rock will say behind me, oh Muslim, behind me there is a Jew. Just type that.
Oh Muslim, behind me. Oh Muslim, there's a Jew behind me. Hadith. Okay. Hamas in its own words. Okay.
What?
Hamas Charter Article 7. Oh. Okay, that's in the Hamas Charter, apparently. Gosh, why is this all Hamas stuff? Oh my goodness. Okay, I guess I'll just have to read the limited part. What the frick is going on? Can you still hear me?
Yes.
For some reason, my thing is frozen.
Weird.
Frick, it's frozen again. I guess we're streaming all night because what the frick is going on? Dude. Oh my god. I guess the IDF has gotten to my Mossad's gotten to my freaking computer because it won't let me. This is the weirdest thing ever. It will let me click literally everything but Google Chrome. Okay, whatever. I can look it up somewhere else. Okay, so this is me being dispassionate. It says, Judgment Day will not come until the Muslims fight the Jews. The Jews will hide behind the stones and trees, and the stones and trees will say, O Muslim, O servant of Allah, there's a Jew hiding behind me. Come and kill him. That is, stop laughing, okay? Stop laughing.
Why?
Because we're on stream. This is me dispassionately reading a certain document. Oh, crap. Everything's gone now.
No one said I had to be a dispassionate listener.
O Muslim, O servant of Allah. What the frick is going on here? This is so weird. It's literally not letting me open up anything.
Strange.
Seriously, did Mossad get my computer or something? Unironically? Is it gonna blow up in my face or something? Okay. Okay, there we go. There we go. Yeah, I'm not answering my pager. Yeah, it's funny. Okay, I think I might go now. Do you think this was enough?
You don't want to finish it?
I mean, the rest of the debate is another, I think, like hour and a half.
Ask Dr. Andani if he thinks it's worth watching more.
And it all, oh great, it just restarted to the beginning of this.
Womp womp.
Womp womp. Okay. I don't know. I feel like we got a significant portion of it done. I feel like we got a significant chunk of this through. Okay, somebody said no. Okay, it's literally just the same thing over and over again. Okay, well, in that case.
What does Dr. Andani say?
Oh, he said to go to Q&A. Okay.
Okay.
I guess it makes sense. Go longer, $50 super chat. Okay, I guess I have to now. Guess I have to. I'll tell the wife. Tell the wife I'm streaming all night. Yeah, skip to the Q&A. Okay, how do I get to the Q&A? Okay, let's get to the Q&A. Yeah, $50 for me to go longer. Last 30 minutes, okay. Go be with your wife for $100. What the heck?
Dude. Oh my goodness. These guys are actually competing today, dang.
Oh my goodness.
Did he actually give you that much money?
Yes, after he gave me almost $100 earlier. What am I supposed to do?
Oh my goodness.
Third favorite gospel, they're all favorite. What am I supposed to do in this situation?
I have no idea. Never stream again. Just spend all your time with your wife.
Never stream again. Ban him. Ban him. the CVW money over honey, but I mean in this case, wouldn't choosing money be to stop the highest bidder?
Man.
This is confusing. Does this mean that we're supposed to, because for the $50, I probably would have went for like another 30 minutes in the Q&A. Bro, oh my goodness. Okay, well, he gave $100. That means $150 towards going longer. Okay, I'm pretty, yeah.
Bro, going once, going twice.
Okay, I'm gonna keep going into the Q&A. Okay. Sorry, woman. We gotta figure out the Muslim dilemma right now. Okay, this is the Q&A portion. If there are dumb questions, we'll skip them.
Stop using Ibn Ishaq.
Actually, you're wrong. I was prepared to bury Sidney Griffith's comments because I already addressed him. Actually, you're wrong. Ibn Ishaq does what your Quran does to all its sources. This is an indictment against you Muslims. You do the very thing the Quran accuses Jews and Christians. You'll quote the sources of Jews and Christians, but you will not quote them in those aspects where it shows that Muhammad is a false prophet. For example, the Quran will quote the infancy gospel narratives of Jesus, where the baby Jesus talks about him being the word of God, right? And the son of God sent into the world. But then lo and behold, your Quran comes and changes the words of Jesus saying, I'm a prophet and a slave of Allah. That's an indictment against you Muslims, that you do not find it something against your own standards of integrity and truth to change the wording to make it.
Oh, no, he said that we missed his answer. Okay.
So
we missed his answer. Oh, okay, I see. I missed a lot of the super chats. Okay. Here we go. I see.
It says, specifically Surah 5, they will teach a document, allows them to, again, a perspective, preserved. And then there's a reading, just a Genesis can talk about, but this the Bible, okay, have to show affirms the gospel of Jesus, okay? And B, you also have to show on your own, once you've brought a Muslim to the Bible, okay, you also have to show that the New Testament teaches the core doctrines that you believe in as a Christian.
This is such a confusing Q&A.
What the heck is going on?
I have no idea. Like where I thought this was where the first Q&A was, like the first question was. I'm so confused. I'm just gonna skip to when the next question gets put up. Okay, sorry. Sam, do you believe that Moses wrote the Pentateuch? I hope he does. No, not
Jina langu ni Hasan Witi. Nasomea shule ya msingi Vigevi. Darasa la 7.
There's an opportunity here.
Okay, we're skipping to the next question. I'm sorry, Dr. Andani. I'm sure your answer to the first one was very good, but okay, here we go. Dang, Bobby's sending in the money.
All right, let's move on to the next question. Another question from Bobby. How can, and this one I think is addressed to Sam, how can the New Testament be considered reliable if early manuscripts contain numerous alterations in key doctrinal passages and later additions or interpolations?
Yeah, you're asking the right question for the wrong debate. I can grant the fact, and I want Khalil to hear me carefully, I can grant the fact New Testament's corrupt, and yet the Quran confirmed the New Testament, which means the Quran is wrong. That's the dilemma. If you say the New Testament is full of variations, and Andani, Dr. Andani, I'm not trying to mispronounce your name, he deals with academic scholarship. He's aware of the qirat and the ahruf and the variations. We can have a field day when it comes to variations, but to stick on the topic, if the New Testament manuscripts are corrupt, that means the Quran is false. That's the part of the dilemma. Because if you're a Muslim, you don't have the option, contrary to what Adani says, to say that the New Testament's corrupt and only contains core truth. The Quran doesn't argue that way. The Quran says whatever the Christians and Jews had, that's the uncorrupt, preserved words of God. I'm arguing from the context of the Quran, not from outside sources. So if the New Testament's corrupt, Muhammad is a false prophet. New Testament preserved, Muhammad is a false prophet. Welcome to the wonderful world of the Islamic dilemma.
All right, and Donna, you've got 1 minute.
Yeah, so again, the Quran never authorizes the New Testament. So even if you go beyond the manuscript problem, you have a canonization problem. The New Testament wasn't canonized as 27 books until the 4th century. And then the 4 Gospels are not canonized until, say, the 2nd century. The funny thing is that the Quran doesn't endorse the Christian canon, let alone the preservation of the Christian text. So we have a canon problem to begin with. The only canonical revelation the Quran explicitly authorizes is the gospel taught by Jesus. And the Quran says that the people of the book mixed truth with falsehood. So the New Testament is a mixture of authentic revelation and false interpretation.
All right, let's move on to the next question from Stephen. How does Dr. Andani?
Yeah, this is actually perfect, guys. Gifted 10 memberships to go longer. Total scholastic cell victory. Dude, you won. He won. Gifting memberships is my favorite because a lot of those people continue their memberships, and that's basically like a bunch of little patrons in my YouTubes. So you're forcing people to become patrons at my behest. You're turning everybody into little Wagner donor slaves. That's what you're doing when you gift memberships to other people. But yeah, this is perfect because I'm going to be gone for a week at the end of this month to travel to see my family and to go hunting over Thanksgiving break, and then I'll be traveling some next month as well. So thank you guys. You guys are awesome. Now I'm a patron and member. W.
Harmonized Surah 157 and Ibn Ashaq saying that the gospel.
Yeah, you guys are freaking crazy. You guys are just dropping this on a YouTube stream. I was gifted a membership and did not continue it. Yeah, can we do a thing where I'm able to specify individuals in my chat who aren't able to receive memberships? Yeah, this is basically a pyramid scheme. I mean, maybe I'm just all of the people in the chat who do gift memberships. So I'm just forcing everybody who ever watches my videos into accidentally renewing. It's true.
Of Jesus was written by John, yet John's gospel contradicts the Quran.
Wait. Okay, this is actually interesting, Hassan. You've ever heard this one?
Say again. What was it?
Surah 7157 in Ibn Ishaq, saying that the gospel of Jesus was written by John, yet John's gospel contradicts the Quran.
That's just Ibn Ishaq. That's like one Sunni guy. That's just an incoherent. It's just an incoherent reading by Ibn Ishaq. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, so this is just asking about what one guy says. Okay, well, never mind. This isn't a strong argument.
Before I answer and use further time, can I put up a slide or no?
Yeah, that is possible. Go ahead and share your screen.
Give me 1 second here.
He's authoritative for Sunnis.
All right.
I don't know. About that,
is this visible?
It's up there. Yep.
Okay,
that's just not
minutes,
true.
Right?
He's only authoritative to some Sunnis.
And Dr. Andani isn't even Sunni, so.
This is the quote. Okay, this is the quote of Ibn Ishaq, and I knew this would come up because this is one of Sam's favorite passages. So this is the quote. Ibn Ishaq is apparently quoting the Gospel of John. Okay, he is, but take a look at what is highlighted here.
The time to help is now.
No!
We can't wait.
Oh my goodness,
Sisters to be broken and steadfastness to be let down.
Broken.
About things bigger.
Why do they all dress like
things bigger?
It's so weird. Why do they all dress like white people? Why don't they wear like if they're asking for donations, they got to wear like all the, like Muslim looking dress, You got to wear the long.
That's just how globalized people dress, bro.
Yeah, but they're asking for money from Westerners. They have to look the part. Like I'm not gonna believe you that you're like starving and dying if you're.
Maybe they think that if they dress like Arabs, they won't get money because of racism.
Yeah, but that's not how white people are. If
that's true.
The thing is like it has the opposite effect. If we look at you and you're like, oh, these like poor Arabs, like they're so downtrodden.
He's dressed properly. He must be well off.
More likely to give money,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same reason why we do the things where, you have the faces blacked out and, the voice changer stuff on it. We'd be like, oh no, they're like secret. We have to give them money.
Oh yeah, keep that one in mind, guys.
Yeah, or like the stuff with like the black African children and giving food and money. It has like the opposite effect when you make it more authentic. Like if you look like us, we're just gonna think like, oh, they're just trying to take our money. Maybe I need to consult with some of these Gaza fund groups and tell them that they need to, they can't have the woman in the hijab and makeup with the nose ring on. Like, what the frick is that? Like,
that's real.
So true. For money.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
Disgusting.
Yeah,
I hate that crap.
It's absolutely disgusting.
These are three places where Ibn Ishaq has actually altered the Gospel of John. Namely, the word father has been replaced with the word Rabb or Lord. This means Ibn Ishaq did not actually believe the Gospel of John was perfect.
Doctor, why do you pronounce Arabic words so weirdly?
This is not.
I don't know, bro. I don't pronounce Arabic words.
Just my opinion. Sidney Griffith, who's a Catholic scholar, Sidney Griffith says that Ibn Ishaq firstly subscribes to the Quranic idea of the gospel because he speaks of the gospel in this quote as what was revealed to Jesus, okay? And number two, Sidney Griffith notes that Ibn Ishaq doesn't believe the gospel of John is fully preserved because he had to correct the gospel of John, and Ibn Ishaq did that because Ibn Ishaq follows the Quranic view, which in the view of Sidney Griffith is that the Christians actually have corrupted their scriptures. So Sam, you should really stop using Ibn Ishaq as one of your favorite quotes because the scholarship doesn't agree with you and neither does Ibn Ishaq.
Actually, I was prepared to bully Sidney Griffith's comments because I already addressed him. Actually, you're wrong.
You say he's to bully them? Oy vey.
Ibn Ishaq does what your Quran does to all its sources. This is an indictment against you Muslims. You do the very thing the Quran accuses Jews and Christians. You'll quote the sources of Jews and Christians, but you will not quote them in those aspects where it shows that Muhammad is a false prophet. For example, the Quran will quote the infancy gospel narratives of Jesus, where the baby Jesus talks about him being the word of God, right? And the Son of God sent into the world. But then lo and behold, your Quran comes and changes the words of Jesus saying, I'm a prophet and slave of Allah. That's an indictment against you Muslims that you do not find it.
I mean, he is a prophet and
something
slave
against
your own servant.
Aaron, what did you say? What are you yapping about?
Forma servi accetta.
What?
Forma servi accetta. You know, he took the form of a slave. Yeah. Yeah.
First I was listening to you as Arabic, and then I was listening to you as Latin, and I understood.
That's what
You ever do that when somebody says something like in a different language, and like you're listening to them as if you were listening to them in English, and then you start listening to them as if you were listening to them in that language, and then you start understanding what they're saying?
No.
It never happens to you?
No.
That happens to me all the time. Okay. Anyways, let's continue.
Own standards of integrity and truth to change the wording to make it agree with your theology. And if Ibn Ishaq did not believe that John was authentic, that only buries him. Why? Because how does he know those parts that he didn't change are authentic? Arguing in a circle. And contrary to your assertion, Ibn Ishaq confirms the authority of Scripture. Debate me on it.
All right, from King, Jesus loves you, Sam Shamoun from Malaysia. Very nice. All right, Chris Procession says it's confirmation bias. Muhammad confirmed a book that contradicts him. Muhammad would have confirmed a Gnostic text if it was there. You think this one's addressed to
Bro, what? What is going on here? Do you understand this, Hassan?
No, this sounds like a schizo post to me.
Okay, Emperor Fuentes is live. Dude, that guy hasn't been live in like a week and a half. People, I thought
That's
the
crazy.
brothers were going to like have mass, you know. You know, I can't say that word on YouTube. Or something like that. Yeah, my head hurts. My head hurts too. I'm trying to.
Oh no! What are the gropers gonna do? They're gonna talk about somebody's whole wife again? Come on, bro.
Bro, did you say, bro?
Ah, I forgot whose wife that was. Oops.
Yeah. Come on now.
Okay, I take this back. However, I was trying to speak about how they were saying yucky things about this woman when they should not be saying yucky things about this woman, because that reflects badly on them. Because why would you do or say such yucky things about such a woman? You see what I'm saying?
Hassan, you're
Yeah, I'm cooked. It's over. I'm sorry, mysterious man, who I will not identify.
Mysterious man who you not identify.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we all know who it is, but I'm sure apology absolutely unequivocally not and never will be accepted ever until the end of ages. But okay, but thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate you. You just got off your shift as a neurosurgical lawyer, you know. Just got off your shift being the investment banker for the law division of a neurosurgical practice. Yeah, I'm getting 5 guys now. That's true. I think I have enough money now for 5 guys when we travel. Well, I mean, to be fair, Dr. Andani is more so commenting on what we're saying about the debate, not necessarily about the debate directly.
Yeah.
Well, I regret to inform you that I have to fill out a 1099 after like 2 weeks. So this didn't, you have to the level for a 1099 isn't that high. I guess from like if I just had this stream in my entire year, I probably would have to get a 1099.
What is a 1099?
Really? All your money's from real.
What's that? What's a 1099? What is that?
Bro, this guy. Oh yeah, I forgot you're not American. It's a tax form.
Oh.
Wait, you're a CPA? I should have asked you to help me with because I was audited this year and it was horrific. Dude, I need to hire next tax season. Can I hire you? Can you like email me? Can I hire you to do my taxes? Because I really don't feel like having to put my wife through another tax season. It was brutal both times. Well, all 3 times. Yeah. What's the deal with the super chats? I don't know. I guess they really like me. Unironically, yeah, I would. Okay, good. You'll have my business. You'll have my business. I will pay you well. I will pay you very well to do my taxes for me. Okay, thank you. Yeah, W blue collar. Anyways, hey, can you show the mental prayer ad? I already showed the mental prayer ad. Okay. What will Wagner use the money on? The same thing that I use all my other money.
Leo?
Burgers.
I don't know if it's a question, but it would be for him, not for me. Because, by the way, he does affirm Neoplatonism, so it's form of Gnosticism. So maybe you want to address it.
Yo, he called him a Gnostic. That's kind of a chat.
Where did that come
from? Say anything about this?
He said you're a Neoplatonist, and that's a form of Gnosticism.
I mean, a lot of Ismailis do call themselves Gnostics. So
I'm not spending all the money on cigs and booze. I promise. Yeah.
Khalil or not?
Burgers.
Oh, come on.
What are you looking at?
Actually, I need to defend myself on this. I'm actually very, very I'm very good with finances, you know. I got the power. But I do all my monthly finances. I'm very, very strict with all my categories and everything. I am on top of it all the time. And I only set aside like $100, $150 for myself every month for like all of the stuff that I don't, you know, put in savings and, you know, all the other stuff. So yeah, trust me. I don't actually just extravagantly spend money. Wait, really? 200,000 if you spend a month in Antarctica? Is this real? Is this real? There's no way. I would do that though. I would absolutely do that.
I mean, we can skip it just in the interest of time. It doesn't matter.
Okay. Yeah.
Wait, we played out this response for like 10 minutes, and that was the resolution.
That's fine.
Dang.
But I appreciate the super chat, Chris. All right, Michael. Is it true that Muhammad had a statue of Mary and Jesus at home? This one we won't.
Oh yeah.
What? What? What are they talking about?
This is.
Oh man.
This is so epic. This is so epic.
Time, just anyone who has a response.
That's the topic. Yeah, it's not relevant.
No, so what we have is there's an early report that when Muhammad went into the Kaaba, it was full of idols, and he ordered all the idols removed. But there was a painting of Abraham, and there was a painting of Jesus and Mary. And according to according to Ibn Ishaq, he didn't want that to be taken down, so that they left there.
That's where it comes from. Okay. All right. Next one from Brother Jay. What is the Injil? And we'll give this one to Khalil.
Really? Somebody super chatted that? Isn't that what the whole debate is about? That's like debate on the filioque, and somebody responds at the end and says, "What is the filioque?" Or like, is the filioque real?
He already explained that. Does he have to answer it? He did an entire presentation.
He can take 10 seconds and summarize his view.
We can skip it so we can do more questions.
So true.
Okay.
Skip the super chats.
Fair enough.
Base Dr. Andani. Skip the super chats. You gotta hate the super chats. He has the Nick Fuentes energy. He just hates on his super chatters all the time. That's so epic.
AC says, is the hidden Injil with the hidden Imam?
What's these questions?
True.
Again, we can skip it. I don't think it's relevant.
Yeah, it's not relevant.
All right. The Heavy Heart Show. Muhammad was a sloppy plagiarist of the Bible. It's really quite simple.
Yeah, that's
these super chats just suck. They all suck.
Oh my goodness.
Chats. My super chatters are amazing. There was that one time like 3 weeks ago you guys sucked a lot, but you know, you guys have gotten significantly better. Trust.
If you want to address it, good. I'm not.
You can address it if you want, Khalil, or we can
just skip it. Let's just deal with serious questions. Otherwise, we should.
Yeah, come on, guys. The guy's an academic scholar. Come on, let's be a little more charitable.
Yes.
All we do is only read the Quran, but Muslims read the same text and says, no, it's not saying that. And when they are stuck, they ask for the Arabic. Islamic. Allah only understands Arabic. Imam is.
This is so epic. This is so epic. This is unironically, I want to host a debate on the channel, like huge, like big debate, and have the super chat section at the end. And at the end, we'll all like have a bonding moment, you know, like cool down after the debate, where the debaters mutually laugh at how stupid all the super chats are at the end. Like that, I think that'd be an amazing idea. You know, that's like a bonding moment, you know, between two sides. You just had a tough debate, and now you can just laugh at how stupid a lot of, you know, the people who watch those type of debates are. Yeah, that would be amazing.
It's false.
Okay, I don't know.
Yeah, let's keep on going.
Yeah, pontificating. I hope most of your chats are like this, so we don't have to answer questions. So me and him can take a break.
Yeshua the King. Yeah, you guys get a break here. For both, how can corruption or interpretation account for atonement in all Old Testament and New Testament, especially since it's the cornerstone of faith and easy to memorize?
True. This is a truth, Nuke.
Oh,
maybe this one for Sam.
Want me to go first? Okay. Well,
yeah,
because I've already heard Andani appeal to academic scholarship, saying that the historical Jesus never argued that he would die an atoning sacrifice for the sins of the world. That doesn't come from the authentic gospel of Jesus, even though the very so-called sayings of Jesus that he appealed to, as well as Paul Williams appealed to, you'll find in the sayings of Jesus, not the narrative, the sayings of Jesus, Mark 10:45 and Mark 14:22-25, which modern critical scholarship thinks is the earliest of the Gospels. Jesus talking about offering his soul as a ransom for many, and that this cup is...
Someone just ordered this cup for me, and Shippo's only charging me $5.
Oh my goodness, he was finally saying something kind of interesting as well.
Yeah. Well, the reason I show all the super chats, show the ad. Yeah, the reason I show all the super chats is because people like cry if they send a dumb super chat and I don't show it. They're like, "Why didn't you show my super chat?" So I just show it.
Why didn't you answer my question? It's because he thought you were stupid.
The question,
you know that that's the answer from now on. If he ever ignores your message, just assume that it's because he thought you were stupid.
Yeah, you should just be ashamed. You should have embarrassed me. You should try to go back and delete your message if I just skip it.
Yes. If I were to go directly through UPS, however.
Okay, let's go back.
Offering his soul as a ransom for many, the earliest of the Gospels. Jesus talking about offering his soul as a ransom for many, and that this cup is being shed for many. So even in the earliest strata, you have Jesus referring to his death as having sacrificial value to redeem and release and ransom. But now what happens is they'll explain away saying, well, that's not an authentic saying of Jesus. That was interpolated by Mark. But then we're back to the dilemma, because if the Christians were to judge by Mark at the time of Muhammad, because that would be the gospel they had, and they read that as a saying of Jesus, they would believe that this is a teaching of the historical Jesus. So if it's not a teaching of the historical Jesus, that means the Quran is wrong again. So we're back to the Islamic dilemma.
Okay, and here's the way out of
I don't think that the argument is that only the attributions of Ipsissima Verba are kitab. I don't think they claim that the Ipsissima Verba are even perfectly preserved without admixture of error. So I don't know where he got that argument from. That was kind of weird. I don't know. What do you think? I thought that was kind of strange.
I don't really know. I don't have much to say.
Okay.
Nat G, I sent a super chat for the Q&A and it wasn't brought up. It was semi-relevant as well. I mean, was it one of those where it's just like $1.99 super chat and then it's like 1/10 and then you send 10 different messages and it's like asking me to answer a question that would take me like 3 hours to answer? Was it one of those? Yeah, okay. Dr. Andani thinks you're right about that.
Anybody bears the burden of another person or bears the sin of another person. So the Quran as a criterion would show the Christians in the 7th century that Jesus could not have taught that. Furthermore, the academic scholarship on this by James Dunn says that Jesus himself never taught that his death was a vicarious atonement sacrifice. In addition to that, the Christians have a dilemma. Luke Acts nowhere.
Yeah, what do you mean by vicarious atonement?
What did you? Where are you getting this from?
Reading literature, like because I looked up James Dunn, and James Dunn is one of the New Perspective on Paul guys. So it's probably just a critique of a certain understanding of Reformed teachings on the atonement. Yeah, email. That'd be good. That'd be good to email me the article. Because, yeah, I mean, we as Catholics have a very particular notion of atonement. And it's kind of, it's extremely strange, too, from our definition of atonement to deny that our Lord taught that. Because even if like, his name is Jesus, or he'll save his people from their sins. Like, even something as simple like that under the Catholic definition of satisfaction would fall under it.
Any identification of Christ with the suffering servant and the Gospels would also would result in vicarious atonement concept. It's just not substitutionary, as if Christ is undergoing the suffering as if he was guilty of the crimes that merited the punishment. That's not what we believe.
Yeah, we're just wondering what exactly like you mean by specifically vicarious atonement.
Yeah.
Are you talking about something which is necessarily actually it would be better just to get your answer, because this can get really complicated, especially with inner Christian discussion.
Yes, but Lucan atonement is different from vicarious atonement.
Yeah, we can talk about it sometime. Yeah, that would be really good.
Need to figure out what that means. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, that would be really helpful. I don't know. I feel like even I don't know. Is there a Muslim idea of like a reatus pene, which is removed by satisfaction in any way?
There is a Sunni hadith about how someone can like make sacrifice or like pray for the sake of the debts of another, but I don't know. That's not really like a Quranic idea. So,
yeah, because really this kind of comes down to it like taking the inner Christian debate, which I'm assuming from my knowledge of those disputes, and placing it within this framework, I think is kind of we might be having some lack of communication going on. There's redemptive suffering in Islam, Allah, Imam Hussein suffering. Oh yeah, Hussein. That's the what is it? The live like Ali, die like Hussein. Is that the one?
Yeah, there's a bunch of very strange poems that even refer to Hussein as crucified.
Yes, so
like traditional poems.
My own know me, just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father. I lay my life down for the sheep. Yeah, the idea of redemptive suffering, I think this would be closest to us, because there's like a chart that I have, and I go over this. I actually just wrote like a little brief thing earlier today, which kind of goes into this a little bit for Muslim converts, understanding like what penance is and things like that in the Christian framework. Is Hassan? Is this real?
What? Sunnis believe that God will save Muslims by replacing him. Yes. Yes.
Okay, that's kind of yeah. It's, yeah, I don't care that the 97-year-old diner still serves their Coke the old-fashioned way. I just like the Coke from McDonald's, and it's probably like 80 times better at a McDonald's than it is in that stupid diner where they serve it the old-fashioned way. Okay. Yeah, that's an idea. That certainly is an idea. That sounded like something that would be fake.
Yeah, I know it. Well, the other funny, there's another funny hadith where a guy goes up to Omar and he said, "Do you remember when you and I had seminal emissions and had to do like ablutions in a specific way?" And he was like, "You're going to be held accountable for what you have said." And it's like, what's this narration about? Yeah, Dr. Andani, what do you think about the Dr. Andani? I'm actually curious. What do you think of the like esoteric Omar was a homosexual like arguments? I'm very curious about your thoughts on this.
I don't know, bro. I don't want to hear about this. I'm distracting myself.
I hasn't seen good proof. Oh, I've heard so many funny stories from the Qom Hausa, the seminary. So many really funny stories about it. There's a lot of 12ers who say that Omar ibn al-Khattab was a homosexual.
You know, actually, Steven, you do give a good point, because Coca-Cola the old-fashioned way would have coca, like, you know, the cocaine in it. So
The
that
coca
might,
leaf.
I don't know, could you imagine
Then Mariani.
you have like McDonald's Coke and it has cocaine in it? That sounds like it would slap.
Okay.
Not like the levels of like a Leo the 13th cocaine.
Then Mariani. Yeah.
Like that level. Not like, you know, get a line and like put it in your Coke and mix it up. You know, not like that kind of cocaine. You know. Okay, I know. I'm being colloquial. Okay, could you got like actually? Yeah, could you? Being colloquial. Yeah, could you get me some, and then could you extract the stuff necessary to make my McDonald's Coke
In Europe, they actually sell. In Europe, they actually still sell the wine with cocaine in it.
Yeah, I've seen that before. I've been wanting to try that. Okay, now I think we need to continue on this, because we've been super chatted so much to watch all of this. Am I being colloquial? Yeah, I am being colloquial. Die, cry about it.
Where it teaches.
Yeah, out of context Wagner. Out of context Wagner hasn't posted in forever.
That the death of Jesus is a vicarious atonement for sin.
What'd you say?
What happened to that guy?
I'm trying to play this. What guy?
Okay, sorry.
Oh,
Esoteric Wagner.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Oh.
He's you know, Wagner clippers are not clipping recently, so we need to get him on.
Didn't you get mad at that guy once? I don't remember the context.
No, I didn't get mad at that guy.
Sacrifice. In addition to that, the Christians have a dilemma. Luke Acts nowhere teaches that the death of Jesus is a vicarious atonement for sin, and you believe the author of Luke is an inspired author. So even if Mark taught that it's an,
well, I mean, this wouldn't even really matter, because Luke and Saint Luke is a I think it has to do with the different definition of vicarious atonement.
Yeah, probably.
But even then, like Saint Luke is a partner of Saint Paul, so it'd be, unless you want to say that Pauline authorship of the major Pauline epistles is not a thing, which even like really liberal scholars I know don't take this. So yeah, I don't know.
Atonement for sin, but the fact that Luke doesn't teach that it's atonement for sin, you have one inspired author in contradiction with another inspired author, and this is the Christian atonement dilemma.
All right, let's move on to the next super chat from Apostate Prophet Khalil. How do you hang on?
Oh no, not this guy. Screw this guy.
You don't like the Apostate Prophet guy?
No, he's terrible.
His profile picture
He's such a bad person.
His profile picture. Yeah, I know, dude. I know you are. I know you are Youth Initiative. I'm not an idiot. Oh my gosh, this guy. Yeah,
the worst anti-Islam A-loggers are the ones who think that atheists are like allies against Islam.
Yeah, that looks like
Yeah.
looks like what is it? You know, like the like a 1950s cartoon of like Africans, you know?
Oh dear.
Those before with like the big, really big
Bro,
extremely red lips?
Yes.
That's what it looks
like Randall from Monsters Inc.'s sidekick.
Yeah, that's what this looks like. Is this live or a pre-recorded video? This is a pre-recorded video. So I've this guy, okay, the apostate prophet guy.
Looking right. How do you explain that the earliest...
Go ahead, I'm sorry. It's not a debate review after this.
How do you explain that the earliest Christian texts, including the epistles, clearly say that Jesus is the Son of God who died for our sins? That's number one. Number two, what is the Injil, the good news? What exactly did...
Okay, this guy, you send, okay, this is some super chat etiquette. You send one question per super chat, okay? Not two questions.
Jesus promise.
So maybe the earliest extant Christian texts do teach that. I think Paul did teach that, and some of the epistles do. But the early Jewish Christians, led by James, the brother of Jesus, they did not believe that Jesus died for sins. In fact, Jesus himself didn't believe it. And as I said, the author of the Gospel of...
Doctor, why? Why do you believe in this division between James and Paul?
This is like
is it the whole?
This is like
this is like
thing.
Yeah, this is like Luther resurrected from the dead. Like actually, if works justify
I guess
that.
it kind of is Luther rejected from the dead, but it's more like it's more like weird like German Lutheran liberal historians resurrected from the dead, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
That's so strange.
Luther, like von Harnack, believed this, and like basically all Protestant liberal scholarship believed in this. But I mean, all of our authors, like all of our church historians, refuted this. I mean, Saint Augustine talks about this, and he refutes it because certain people during his day believed this.
No one will believe this in 50 years. This is like one of those things.
Well, yeah, I know that there's a lot of scholars who believe this. Like I'm not a church historian, but I've read church history before, and this is a theme in it. But I mean, what are those very same scholars going to say about like early Islamic history that you would obviously think is horrific? Like I just don't really. Like these individuals aren't really, like, to me, extrinsic authorities that I really respect.
Why would we? I mean, yeah, this came up earlier. Like, why would we care that it happens to be what most scholars say? What's the argument? You know, I mean, you say that there's strong evidences. I just want to know what the arguments are.
Okay, let's continue.
Died for sins. Teach that. I think Paul did teach that, and some of the epistles do. But the early Jewish Christians, led by...
Oh yeah, also the idea that like an absence of some teaching necessitates a contradiction. I don't like that.
James, the brother of Jesus, they did not believe that Jesus died for sins. In fact,
I mean, you would have to really what you would have to do is you would have to like a short epistle, because I mean you could take like Jude, for example, or like let's say all that we had from St. Paul was Titus, or I'm thinking does like Philemon or maybe like Second Timothy. I mean, you probably don't think that they're from St. Paul, but like let's pretend that they are from St. Paul. Like if we just had small texts like this, would you be able to argue convincingly that St. Paul didn't believe this? Not that he merely didn't mention him in his text, but that he positively didn't believe this. I think that's like an illicit argument from silence to claim that St. James didn't believe this.
Jesus himself didn't believe it, and as I said, the author of the Gospel of Luke and the book of Acts,
well, I mean, Jesus himself didn't believe this, but that would just be, I guess, assuming from the point of view that any of the texts from the Gospels where Jesus does mention his own redemptive death is corrupted.
He doesn't believe that Jesus died for sins. And one other corroboration of that is the early Jewish Christians, after the resurrection of Jesus, they continued to practice the Torah. They continued to go to the temple and offer sacrifices there. But if Jesus' death was an atoning sacrifice for sins, why would the early Jewish Christians, after Jesus' resurrection, continue the Torah and continue temple sacrifice to the point they even forced Paul to perform a Nazarite sacrifice? So there's an inconsistency. As for the
but these are pedagogical. I mean, this is the whole point of St. Paul's epistle to the Hebrews. I mean, you probably don't think it's by St. Paul again, but I mean, this is the whole point: is that all these rites are somehow pedagogical, but their faith is not to be placed within these, as we see in St. Paul's epistle to the Galatians, because these don't give grace like the sacraments of the new law do.
The term Jesus is the Son and God, I don't have time to discuss it here, but I would dispute that the Gospels actually teach that Jesus is God.
Now, notice, ironically, he quotes Luke, who wrote Acts.
If you shop on Amazon, you should use this tool.
Oh, man.
It's a browser extension that automatically compares
to tell you that the Jews continue to observe temple sacrifices, but that's the same Luke and Acts that present Jesus and his followers as affirming the divine sonship of Jesus Christ. So he wants his cake and eat it too. And secondly, you just argued.
How do you interpret? Because I guess this would be like a double whammy. Like, how do you interpret like Saint Peter? I think it's Saint Peter talking about being redeemed by the blood of God in the book of Acts. Because I mean, this would both obviously affirm godhood and it would also affirm redemption.
Well, we have been, we've been paid for by not by just by any price, but by the most pricely blood of Christ, not by silver or gold. That whole thing.
Of course Jesus is human.
Yeah,
you're a heretic if you deny that Jesus is human. That's Docetism to deny this. Saint John makes this very clear that if you deny that Jesus came in the flesh, then you have no share in his work.
To say that Luke did not mention the atonement is not the same as saying he denied the atonement. As an academic, you don't want to make these leaps in logic because that's a logical fallacy. And thirdly, you're wrong. In Luke 22:19-20,
by vicarious atonement, maybe he means like penal substitution or something.
I don't know. I guess we need to clarify.
I'm not sure what he means.
Like just like off the top of my head, obviously, I have now over 20 years of reading the New Testament because I was, before I could even read, the New Testament was read to me. And I can think of a number of places off the top of my head where in these sections of scripture, there's clearly language that at least under a Catholic definition, we would talk about like satisfactory, our Lord's death as satisfaction. It would be really weird to me if the particular claim was that under our definition of satisfaction, that the New Testament does not teach that Jesus' death was satisfactory when it came to for our sins. This would seem to kind of just contradict the whole point of the New Testament. So it's it might just come down to a difference in how we're defining these things.
Will shed his blood for the new covenant, which is for the forgiveness of sins. So stop parroting Bart Ehrman, who's been refuted, and stay current with current scholarship. So you're wrong. And if it is corrupted, the Quran is wrong because it's telling Christians to judge by that gospel. The only gospel they had is the New Testament, which means, again, the Quran is wrong and Muhammad is a false prophet. Can't have your cake and eat it too. I'm sorry, Andani.
All right, let's move on to Tish Soto, who wrote the...
Okay, Tish Soto, that's actually Domingo de Soto.
Soto?
It's Domingo de Soto's sister. Okay, does the shout?
That's kind of depressing.
Prove the Islamic account of crucifixion. Do you think the Shroud of the Shroud of Turin real? The Shroud of Turin is authentic?
Who?
Do you think the Shroud
Me?
of Turin is authentic? Yeah.
I don't think about it at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess.
I don't know. It doesn't really have a place in my devotional life, and I kind of like just never saw a reason to consider its legitimacy. I already believe that that Christ died and that he was a real man, etc., etc. I don't know. It just seems unnecessary to me. I'm not sure how to explain this.
Wagner stream about Coke, McDonald's, and going to the Middle East soon. It's 2003 again. So true. For travel, please be safe. I need somebody to A-log. Yeah, I had my more dangerous travel last week, but this will be a piece of cake compared to that. It's only like 7 hours.
The Injil. I guess this one's for Khalil.
Well,
You can
originally,
take as much time as you want.
Yeah, so the Injil is the teaching of Jesus, and from a historical perspective, that's literally the name of what he taught. And we know for about a century or so, according to modern scholarship,
what do you, if you're still here, Dr. Andani, what do you think about the Book of Hebrews? Because like obviously, I'm sure you're very well aware that the Book of Hebrews was one of those books which were disputed within the early church, and even some during the Reformation, like Luther, denied its authenticity. Well, its canonicity, but they denied it was written by St. Paul. But what do you think about that?
Early Christians had a more oral conception of Jesus' teaching. So Jesus' teachings were passed on orally. That's what Q basically is, right? And then at some later point, the Jesus tradition is sort of written down, and these Jesus sayings are sort of transmitted in writing at some point. And then the anonymous gospel authors, they pick up these Jesus sayings and they have a narrative that they'd heard orally, and they put it in writing. So the Injil, from a historical perspective and even from a Quranic perspective,
I have the passage Sam cited is an interpolation. Luke, how do you do textual criticism? Because I'm genuinely curious. Because I mean, in my background, when I was in, I guess you could say in seminary, and I was learning Greek. I mean, we had our NA 28s, and back then it was NA 28s. I think it's NA 29 now. And we were looking, we were learning how to do textual criticism and stuff. And it seems like that would be a very odd standard of textual criticism to like state that these things are interpolations based on maybe like weak textual patterns or late textual patterns. I'm curious if is it just like, hey, I mean, there's like a case that could be made because of a single group of manuscripts, even if it's late, and I'm going to, just because there's a chance that this is the proper reading, I'm going to hold it because of it being necessary for the for Quranic authenticity. There's a comprehensive chapter in Ehrman's book that goes into Luke's interpolation in depth and offers both internal and external reasons for it being an interpolation. Okay, I mean, I was just talking about textual criticism in general, but I guess for this text in particular, yeah, NA 28, chill out, Unk. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I think St. Paul wrote Hebrews. Is NA 28 still the current one? I could have swore I remembered NA 29 coming out.
What's the point when you were convinced of that when you read St. Thomas's Divisia Textus?
Yeah, that was.
Or did you already think that?
Nope, that was the point. No, it's been
Same.
since 2022. Since 2022, it's been NA 29. Yeah, when I read St. Thomas's Divisio Textus, I was like, this is a divine construction. This cannot be constructed by man. 29 hasn't come out yet, really. Okay. Anyways, I think this is coming to a close, to be honest. I think we're kind of going in circles right now.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to have some conversations about atonement with
Dr.
Andani. Yeah. And maybe some conversations about critical study.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just watch the video that I did on Eucharistic sacrifice. It explains it. Yes, I'm tired. Yeah, same.
I almost fell asleep just now.
Did you? The Dewey Reams has been declared to be free from doctrinal error, so who cares whether it's an interpolation? I mean,
what?
we're talking with somebody who doesn't really care what the Dewey Reams is, or like, oh, I'm sure Dr. Andani doesn't really care if we quote the Dewey Reams against him.
Yeah. That's like, there was this one guy who was really anti-Protestant. When somebody would ask him, what's your evidence that the assumption of Mary is true? He cited the existence of Beneficentissimus Deus. And somebody was like, why should I believe that? And then he revealed that he thought that our like papal ecclesiology was that like the Pope personally confers with God, like the Holy Spirit talks to him audibly when he's in a room in the Vatican.
Yeah, that's so based. It's actually what Pope that would have. That's what I'm going to tell my kids when they ask me about infallibility, how it works.
Yeah, based.
Okay. Anyways, I appreciate it, guys.
It's time to sleep.
Yeah. I'm sure we could think of a lot of examples, but I'm pretty sure this probably has more to do with the way in which he's talking about vicarious atonement. But anyways, you all have a nice one, and as always,